what's good? It's HipHopTalks. Welcome, everyone. Peace to the chat. You can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Welcome to the show.
What up?
What up? You can find me on the east side, south side, north side, Decatur, College Park, Ben Hill, Campbellton Road, Marietta, Stockbridge, Ellenwood, Smyrna, Forest Park, Lakewood.
You can find me nowhere.
I'm on the road again.
Okay. When Kappa said check for a nigga, DC check for a nigga.
Classic album. Shout out to Cap.
Oh, God.
We're going to get Coop started early.
Is that what we're doing? No. Cut me off if that's what we're doing. Cut me off if that's what we're doing. Go ahead and cut me out now. I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah. But yeah, make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? We creeping up on 2,000 subscribers. We're really close. So we appreciate it. You know, if y'all tapping into the show and haven't subscribed yet, you know what I'm saying? Hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And it's quick and easy to do. You know what I mean? So, and tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, send this link to somebody else because we're creeping up on that 2K. And we averaging over 2K views per show. So we got the real tapping in. So our sub count needs to match our, you know, our visual count. You know what I'm saying? So hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind.
We literally should probably hit 2K subs by the time we wake up in the morning.
That would be dope. That would be a nice Friday surprise right there.
Yeah. I want a different nice Friday surprise, but that's not for the air. Different Friday surprise.
It's a blue chew. You have it.
Well, head in the mold. Head in the mold. Yeah.
So what's first on the docket tonight, fellas? What we got up first? We want to talk about new music?
Yeah, let's talk about new music. We got a super chat the game, so let's get this super chat real quick.
No doubt.
See, CJ the Kid.
Shout out to the homie CJ with the $5 super chat. Hey guys, how's everything? Hope you guys are doing well, staying healthy. Prayer hands. Yo, appreciate the love, CJ. Definitely thank you for keeping us in our prayers. You know, some of us right now can definitely use them. Real talk. Thank you.
Appreciate you, CJ. Where we at? So we got new music, fellas. What y'all think of that new Sexxy Red and Bruno Mars?
Trash. Trash.
AG.
Trash.
AG.
It's ratchet trash.
Guess what? Hold on. We're 3 for 3 with the trash. I got culturally appropriated trash. Trash all around.
Because Bruno's on the track.
Now, was Bruno Mars talking about throwing up gang signs? He was talking about throwing up gang signs. I said, that's appropriation of our culture, and I'm out on this motherfucker again. Trash.
Yeah, he was talking about throwing something else up on the track, too, but yeah, that was wild.
Nobody, but Bruno not about this life, all right? Bruno's not about this life. He can wear all the Versace shirts and throw up all
Yo, Sean with the crazy thumbnails, that's wild.
He can ride in all the Cadillacs, throw up all the sets. He can do all that shit. All right? It ain't gonna matter. All right? It ain't gonna matter.
Caricature, man. He's a caricature of himself. He's a culture vulture. I said it a long time ago, man. This is bad.
Me too. You and me had that conversation when we first talked, Sean.
We did.
Y'all didn't mess with Silk Sonic, though? Silk Sonic was kind of tough. I ain't mess with that?
So here's the thing, AG. He's been so bad at the appropriation that although I know how great the music, that album sounds, I can't get past the appropriation at this point. Because it's been so embedded for me for so long by the time Silk Sonic came along. Like me and Sean, the first conversation Sean and I talked for like 3 or 4 hours. And this was years ago now. But we ended up on Bruno. Me and Sean spent about 30 minutes on Bruno. And just like, no, I'll keep game like way back when.
Yep.
And so when you peep game way back when, it's just hard to digest the product after that. And so I love Silk Sonic sonically speaking, but I can't sit down and enjoy it because I know who's singing the records and what his songwriters and his teams do culturally speaking to our people. Like how about this? He got a lot of records that Chris Brown and Usher really should have, but I'm gonna say less.
Well, I ain't gonna hold you, but having a half-hour conversation about Bruno Mars' nasty work, so we can go into the next song.
It's more about the appropriation. Go to the next song, please.
Let's start this shit, man. This dude, man.
Wild.
So, shout out to our chat. We had someone hit the chat early. A-Dub. He asked us to tap into to King Los, LA Leakers freestyle. Yes. And
hold on. Sean, you mind if I say something right quick?
Yeah.
LA Leakers is the new Funk Flex. Like for people in our generation who don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
Like going to LA Leakers, like going to Leakers now is like going to Flex, like to drop a bomb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
this is, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
He killed it. So shout out to again, man. Shout out to our chat. It was A-Dub. Shout out to A-Dub, man, for throwing that alley-oop to us early today before the show even started. He was in the chat early, and he said, "Yo, y'all need to check that out. You need to check that out." And yo, it was superb. Shout out to A-Dub for giving us that layup.
Yeah, let's stay right here for a minute. Like, it wasn't just a run-of-the-mill freestyle. Like, bro went crazy. Like, you know, I mean, for a long time, it was damn near 20 minutes. You know, he went over the Tell Me joint, Incarcerated Scarfaces, and then the UGK and Outkast was International Players Anthem, right? Yep. Listen, that story he told on the first joint, you know what I'm saying? The first part of the freestyle was crazy storytelling. And then into the second joint, and he said it was a real story. You know what I'm saying? The way he wove that together was just immaculate. And then by the time he gets to the end, to the International Players Anthem freestyle, the whole scheme that he did about the zodiac signs, listen.
That was pretty cold. Okay, so I'll tell you what, AG. Here's what I thought, and I want to hear your rebuttal on both sides of what I'm about to say. When I heard this freestyle, and I really listened to it end to end, it made me want to run it back. So I did. And here's what I said. I said to myself, well, he's cannabis in a good way. I hope he's not cannabis in a bad way. You feel what I'm saying when I say that?
Yes.
I hope he remains to be cannabis in a good way and not cannabis in a bad way. And then I don't mind this shit, and it's super dope what he did. But at the end of the day, and I may have to get off, but y'all are going to talk about this too. The album making process is the separator, guys. Like, it's the separator. The voice in the album making process for me with the MC is the separating process. What separates Nas from Black Thought is the voice in the album making process. It is.
Yeah.
And if you look at a lot of it, that's what it's about. And so when I hear his voice and I hear his rhymes, it gives me cannabis vibes. And that makes me worry for him, quite frankly, because that means he may not get what he deserves if he don't make the album that reflects that. What do you say to that?
I can see what you're saying. And King Los, shout out to Baltimore, by the way. King Los from Baltimore.
He's nasty on the mic, though. He's nice on the mic.
The way he weaves together the storytelling, I don't want to say, I see where you're coming from, but cannabis was more over your head with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, King Los is more intricate. And the thing about cannabis that didn't translate to what you're talking about, like tracks and album making, and one of my friends was like a diehard cannabis fan, like in real time. Cannabis was his favorite rapper. But he was real objective. He said the only thing that cannabis has wrong with him is you can cut and paste every rhyme he does because everything sounds like a battle rap. You know what I'm saying? Like everything you can really like, you know what I'm saying? No matter what feature he's on, no matter what the story subject matter is, the topic on the track, Cannabis always sounds like he's battle rapping someone.
He always attacking.
Right.
I was about to say, I think that's, I get what you're saying. I don't totally agree with that, because here's what I feel like. I feel like on his album and on his projects, he has tried to step out of that sphere, and it has not gone well.
No.
And so you kind of stick to what you do well, if that's what you do. Like, and we're going to kind of talk about this later with the Discord dialogue, like with some of the people that we're going to talk about. It's like, well, really what they suffered from was not doing what they did well. But,
right.
But we can have that conversation later. But I thought the freestyle was pretty exceptional. Like, if we just talking about the bar work and the cadence and the freestyle, oh no, that's classic mixtape stuff. But that's what I'm saying. It is like classic mixtape stuff. Only takes you so far with your legendary status. It's like Jeezy don't just got classic mixtapes, he got classic albums. Nipsey don't just got classic mixtapes, he got classic albums. You feel me?
Yeah.
So that mixtape shit, that mixtape flow only goes but so far. But as far as like on some rhyme shit go, it gave me shades of Black Thought on Flex.
Yeah. Albums are a separator, but a lot of people who make classic albums can't go on a radio show and do that. So.
Oh hell no. But also, too, you have to ask yourself, is that what you want from them? It's like, oh, is Common going to give you that on a freestyle? Hell no, because when he listens to something like that, he's like, I'm putting that shit on my album. You get what I'm saying? Right. Sometimes it's about what you choose to give the people. Like, there is a part of me that listened to that AG and Sean and felt like, yo, he might have given us a little bit too much. That like, AG, the first set of bars, that's album heat. That's Kendrick Lamar album content heat.
Yeah, those stories on the first two instrumentals were album worthy. But what I will say, let's be clear, when we say freestyle, everybody knows when people go up to radio stations, they have writtens prepared. But just to top it all off, at the end of the session, you know what I'm saying, he had word call outs and was doing legit off the top of the dome freestyle. So he did some real freestyle at the end.
Think about this. This is why the album making process is such a separator. Think about where we would have Kane rank if he had a Kendrick-like catalog. We would be having GOAT talk.
People got Kane top 10 anyway. You know?
That's what I'm saying. He's already up there. Imagine where he would be with Kendrick's catalog. That's what I'm talking about, the album separated being the thing. If Kane has Kendrick's catalog, Kane's the GOAT, guys.
He's up there.
Think about it, because you got to think about the fact it's like, oh no, well, the live show, the voice, the delivery, the flow, the cadence, the dance moves, and the albums to go with it, and
Kane has one classic album, but that just shows you how classic that album is as a buy-in, like with his ranking.
But if Kane has 3 or 4, we having GOAT talk. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so absolutely.
So them albums matter. So as much as I love the King Los freestyle, I'm like, okay, do that on an album now, since you gave me album material on a freestyle on LA Leakers.
Yeah.
It's that production. It's the production. That's what happened to Cannabis. It's hard to find the right layer and musical palette to chase that kind of cadence of rapping. Because even when he switched it up and went to a different palette of music, it still wasn't hitting. It's tough.
Yeah.
AG, we got some more super.
No doubt.
I mean, we can blame Wyclef, and we'll talk about this later soon. I think, there's levels to beat picking too, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Some guys got an ear for it. Some people don't. Like, I know this chick, you know what I'm saying? Like she's a hairstylist. She runs her own couple of salons down here, but she used to be back in Miami back in the day, running with a lot of the major football players and like music people. And every time I'm around her ear for music, she's always like, I missed my calling. I should have been an A&R. And I'm like, you should have been. Because every time I hop in the whip with her, anything that she's ever played for me over the years has always been like the next shit. And it's like some people just got a better ear for music than others. You know what I'm saying? So some of what like some of the best lyricists do suffer from is the bad beat picker syndrome. And I'm not talking about Nas when I'm saying that. He's actually the antithesis to that.
or some direction in the studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll get to some of the super chats real quick. Yeah. Shout out to CJ the Kid again with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Sean, can you tell them how disgusted you are with Razzcast involvement? Because that shit was funny. Oh, you talking about Sean in the Discord? Yeah. Sean ain't gonna speak on it. Yo, Ill Magic, appreciate you with the $2 super chat. I wish we could see Dot do a new freestyle on 106. Yeah. I don't know if I think Kendrickson got to that level where, you know what I'm saying, he won't be popping up on no radio shows doing any more freestyles. I think that's past. But for the sentiment though, I do miss 106 apart though. I mean, no, he's not talking about 106 apart, he's talking about Power 106, right? Okay.
Probably Power 106.
Yeah.
Same difference in a lot of ways. All right, fellas.
Let's go to Will Smith. Will Smith and Big Sean.
Big Sean and Big Willie, fellas. Big Sean and Big Willie. Beautiful.
That's crazy.
Stars.
That shit look corny. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
That shit's terrible. Shit's terrible.
So that's Big Sean. So it's Little Sean.
So hold on. I'm gonna tell you my first take. It's obvious that Sean wrote this whole song. Like,
yes,
listening to Will Smith,
yes. It's
obvious. These are Sean's bars.
Right.
So Will Smith is willing to pay top dollar. That's what I thought. I was like, Will Smith is willing to pay top dollar. Because this is definitely Big Sean's song. That, like, Will Smith is definitely, like, you know what I'm saying, purchased off of Sean with Sean's contribution. And I thought to myself, records like this is why Sean is where the upper echelon rapper for this era kind of like stops and starts, because he's big enough to pull in a Will Smith to write for and help do records with. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's on Will Smith's radar.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, like Will know who Sean is and fuck with Sean. You know what I mean? He's just that big enough of a superstar as an artist that somebody like Will Smith will reach out to him in this era very much like he reached out to a Nas once upon a time. You get what I'm saying? So a record like this lets me know that Sean is highly regarded, actually.
I ain't writing no bars for Will if, you know what I'm saying, since Philly in the Super Bowl instead of Detroit. I'm pissed about it. I'm like, Will, you write your own bars.
Okay, that's petty.
That's a good
Detroit
point.
just wasn't healthy. Detroit will be there next year if they're healthy. No, Detroit will be representing NFC in the Super Bowl next year if they're healthy.
Nah, they lost too much.
But shout out for Will for mimicking the flow. He did a good job mimicking Sean's flow.
And that's the
classically trained rapper. He's a classically trained rapper. Yes, he is.
Yeah. I want to hear Sean's thoughts.
And that's the problem. This song's actually a dope song. It's actually really a dope song. And even if Big Sean wrote for Will, which more likely he did, Will outdid Sean in the category of stealing the show and having panache and having that extra in the way he's rhyming, in the way he's presenting in his delivery. He's beating them out, and that's the thing I think that's holding Big Sean back. His delivery or his ability to keep us in there. Pause.
No, hold on, Sean. Are you sure that's not this hip hop culture underrating Will Smith, like I've been saying the entirety of this time that I've been doing podcasts? Are you sure that's not Will Smith?
No,
underrated?
You went too far with it though, too.
You went a little too far.
Hold on. Are you sure that Sean's not rated properly, and we're just underrating what Will Smith is capable of?
Nah, sure? I think Will's where he needs to be.
He's where he needs to be. Absolutely.
No, give me top 100. Hold on. Is Will Smith the top 100 rapper of all time to you?
Yes. Will might be top 50.
Okay.
He might be somewhere in the 50, 75 mark. Yeah. You can't take away from Will. Over there. You can't do that. You can't do that, AG. Will is a talent. Okay. He's a talent. Don't do that.
I'm gonna just stay quiet on this one, man, because I love Will, man. Will.
Top 5 Philly?
He would be somewhere between 60 to 100, but he would be on my list. 60 to 100, but on the list.
Yeah, he's up there.
He's got a great rap voice, guys. He's got a great rap voice.
Yeah,
He's got a great rap voice.
that part is true. That part is true.
Yeah.
He's got a great rap voice. He always has. He was a rapper voice. Part of what got him into acting was his voice. People's like, man, that's a great voice. That voice would be great on the big screen.
I'm gonna just say he chose the right career path. At the end of the day, he's a much better actor than he's a rapper.
Oh yeah, because he's one of the best. Because how about this? Because he's one of the better actors of all time and of his generation. In terms of better rappers of his generation, well, he has Slick Rick and Chuck D and Kane and Rakim and Kid. So no, only because he has those guys.
And that's no disrespect to Will. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on Will.
No, not at all. Not at all. Will is hip hop. Will is hip hop, man.
Yeah.
The motherfucker.
You get pulled over, Coop?
No, the emergency unit just did a whole stop on the side of the road and didn't even use their signal. How the fuck are you going to be the emergency unit in the I am literally in the middle of downtown Atlanta right now, and the emergency unit just didn't use their signal to get over and almost caused an accident. I can't with these niggas.
I thought he was getting pulled over.
I was hoping he was getting pulled over.
You said you was hoping so.
I'm literally passing MLK's house right now. I'm in the middle of downtown Atlanta. This is some motherfucking bullshit. All right,
having road rage with HipHopTalks is crazy.
Yeah, I was hoping he's getting pulled over, honestly. I was like, it's happening. Kill the ground.
Yo, speaking of new music though, we've had the pleasure of getting a sneak preview of the homie IAMGAWD's new upcoming project called City of God. It's on the way. Heard 8 tracks from it, you know what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, the producers, that's doing the tracks is named City. And I will say this, I've ran through the tracks twice. And this is not hyperbole because he's the homie or whatever, not gassing, none of that. He's elevating it on this project. The breath control, the pocket that he's in, switching gears with the flow, like the versatility, everything he's doing on each of the different tracks is just bananas. Like he's really in a pocket that he wasn't in on the last album. And the last album, the bar was high because it was fire. But he's doing things on this new upcoming project that he wasn't doing on the last one. I can hear the elevation. And be on the lookout for that. It's fire. Yo, shout out to IAMGAWD. Appreciate you sending the tracks over for a preview, an early look at that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, fire.
So, Sean, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He's just the best MC I've heard since I've been doing this podcast as far as people that I hadn't heard before. It just is what it is. As far as people, like I've literally, March 14th of this year will make 5 years that I've been in this space, guys. He's the best MC that I've heard during that time. And every time I hear him, he gets better. AG, you are right. The pocket of flows that he is choosing on this album, if you are familiar with him and know his rap style, watching him choose these pocket of flows instead of doing he has a solid formula of working, I don't want to overstate this because I'm not saying it's that. Oh, the songs on Reasonable Doubt are better, but I keep telling people, give me 97 Hove because of what he did with his flow in relationship to the quality of material. It's like, oh no, I know that 5 of Jay's 10 best songs are on Reasonable Doubt, but oh no, you can make an argument the other 5 are on Volume 1 because the flow is just so fucking sick. And his flow on here is ridiculous. And this is without us having a mixed or a mastered version. I'm going to tell you one more time, like it was told to me. Oh, the best moment of my life was when a signed rap artist sat in my car and listened to my shit and said, I'll take you anywhere, to any label, to any studio. And that's how I feel every time I hear IAMGAWD. I'm like, I will take this nigga to any studio. I will take this nigga to any label, on any coast, at any time, and be completely comfortable with the cosign. He is one of the best rap MCs out here today. I don't give a fuck about independent, known, unknown, signed, unsigned. He one of the nicest niggas out here. I used to fucking rap. What the shit that he is doing is hard to do. It is hard to do.
Big facts. Big facts. You
Don't
get a
know what
chance to
else to
check it
say.
out yet,
About to
Sean?
be super impressed. About to be super impressed with this project, people, when you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to say.
He's rapping on this joint, man. And it seemed like he figured out the proper production to go along with his style. You know what I mean? Like the last album, I felt that he was getting there. This one, it's like one of those things where, okay, I know who I am. I know what this production means to me and what I need to do with it. And he did everything he did with it, honestly.
Shit nasty.
I'll be happy we get him on here so we can talk about that. Because we talked about it just now, like about finding the right production for your cadence, for your voice, for your style, for your delivery, all of that. And this was the proper production for everything that he does well.
I'm glad you brought the production up, Sean. You know what I'm saying? Because when I heard it, I was thinking eerie, like conductor sounding style beats, but with hard hitting drums. But what IAMGAWD is doing over the tracks is so effortless. He's going in and out of his regular flow to sniping. You know, in Chicago, they call that, you know what I'm saying, that double time flow sniping. But he's just doing it like so effortlessly and smooth, weaving in and out of different flow patterns and pockets, you know, on these dope, hard hitting beats. And I'm just like, that might be, you know, lower BPMs, but it just sounds smooth with the sniping over. It's a great contrast, but you know, it works. Like, you just have to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited for the project to come out and other people to hear it because, you know, it was a surprise to me when he hit us with it. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate that.
Are y'all familiar with the movie The Quick and the Dead? With Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
You know when Gene Hackman talks about, I always wanted to fight you, it excites me?
Yeah.
If you've ever MC'd, that's how you feel when IAMGAWD is rapping. He's one of those guys, he excites you like, hold on. It's like, oh, you want to rap, nigga? Like, he makes you want to rap. Like, he brings out the competitive side in you if you've ever MC'd. That is a rare ability and quality to have to be able to do that to other artists. Like, he brings that. When I listen to him, he's the only artist that I've heard that brings that out of me when I hear him. I'm like, oh no. It's like if he asked me to jump on some shit, I will, because I want to rap with him. You feel me? Like, competitively speaking. Like, in a healthy way, in the way rap was intended. So he's important to the culture for the fabric of MCing to me, because he incites people to want to rap who know what rap looks like from the perspective of having done it. That's hard to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like what he says too. He calls himself the GOAT, the GOTE, the greatest of this era. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks to what you were saying, Coop.
Yeah. And if you're gonna call yourself IAMGAWD, you better be nice. You better be nice. You better be nice. And he is. First time I heard him, I was like, this nigga better be nice. His name is IAMGAWD. I was 2 tracks in. I said, this nigga is nice. Keep this shit rolling.
Yo, shout out to IAMGAWD, man, for real.
Yeah. We gonna talk to him soon. I got a video I gotta shoot for him and his peoples. You know what I'm saying? But
yep.
Yeah.
So that's all we got on the new music front, right, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's get into some old music.
No, let's do a quick shout to Roxanne Shante, man.
Oh, forgot about that. Yes, sir. Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, Roxanne Shante, man. She got the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. This is major, fella, because a female MC at that, who's done so much for the culture of hip hop, not just for women, but just for the culture of hip hop, being recognized by the Grammys. And her name is not a popular name amongst the pantheon of women. And the fact that she was able to get recognized and get this nod, you think about it, we didn't talk about a Roxanne Shante album being a classic album like that on her catalog. We talked about the fact that she kicked in the door at the age of 14, taking a UTFO. You know what I'm saying? That's like her, that's the inception of who she is. But the fact that the Grammys, be able to go back and take a look at that, look at not just that, but look at her legacy as a whole and see her influence. Because her influence to me is bigger than the catalog or the music within itself. Just the influence itself gave birth to the MC Lights, Queen Latifah. You know what I mean? The bigger names per se in women hip hop. So the fact that she was able to get recognized by the Grammys and also get this Lifetime Achievement Award, it's a beautiful thing. Queens get the money. Shout out to Lolita Shante Gooden, the legend. Man, I'm happy for her, man. I'm happy that she's getting this nod. I'm happy she's getting her flowers. And again, we don't say her name amongst the pantheon of women in hip hop, but the fact that she's actually getting this nod, it's a beautiful thing. So salute to the Grammys for doing this, for the Lifetime Achievement Award for Miss Shante.
You said that eloquently, bro. I don't have too much to add, but we can take it beyond, just inspiring the women. It's well documented that she inspired Nas, who we feel like is the greatest rapper of all time. So, it don't just be, have to be limited to her inspiration and her contributions to female MCs. Like, we may not get Nas if she doesn't challenge him to be the MC that she knew he could be at an early age. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Roxanne, because like Sean said, it's deeper than rap. It's deeper than the catalog. Her inspiration, span, for generations in this rap stuff. So
right. She's Nas
congratulations to Shante.
She's Nas OG. So that tells you a lot right there, right?
Yep.
I think in hip hop terms, and I just want to kind of leave it like right here, this might be the most impressive thing I think the Grammys have ever done. I was super surprised. I was like, they know who Roxanne Shante is? I was impressed by the committee for recognizing her. Guys, she's being honored with Dr. Bobby Jones, Prince, and Frankie Beverly.
That's a heavy list.
She on a hitter list. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Prince, Frankie Beverly, Bobby Jones. That's big time.
Right.
So shout out. Actually, we give them a lot of flack, give them a lot of disrespect. I know I've been extremely disrespectful, and I don't apologize. But when they do something right, with the same way that we turn our nose up and turn our fingers down, we need to give them a round of applause when they get it right. And they got it right this time. It's a round of applause.
Yeah, got to. She a whole legend, man. Whole legend walking around here. Gotta honor that, salute that.
Yeah. Present day, she's an educator, correct?
She is. She's actually on Rock the Bells show as well. She has a show on Rock the Bells. I told her a few times, man. She be dropping jewels and gems, man.
Yeah.
Man.
She was always an educator. She was always an educator. It's just
that's what I was gonna get to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just official now.
Yeah.
It's just official. Yep.
So yeah, man.
I think that's all we got for the news. I think we got a couple of music anniversaries, fellas. I think the first one we have up is Camp Lo's Uptown Saturday Night, which was released January 28th, 1997. Fellas, this was my freshman year in high school. I think this might be, guys, the most underrated rap classic of all time. I think you can make an argument for it, because I don't think it got classic status until way after it came out. I do think that the Source's 3.5 mic rating for it, which was completely off. They missed a whole mic. But I think it might be the most underrated rap album of all time, guys. How do you feel about that?
That's plausible. I see your vision. For me, it's Do or Die. I've always maintained that that's the most underrated classic, but
neck and neck.
Yeah.
Neck and neck.
But yeah, Uptown Saturday Night, man, is crazy. Luchini, Luchini in the annals of hip hop is one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time. You know what I'm saying? Might be top what? Definitely top 100, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I think it's top 50.
It might be top 50. It might be top 50.
It's on the borderline. It's up there.
Yeah.
It's a special record.
Yeah. And Thule High, another dope joint. But one thing about it, man, I don't know if a lot of people talk about it before that era, Sonny Chiba and Geechee Suede, man, they had some of the smoothest flows in the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Their flow patterns and stuff that they use, man, was so immaculate, man. It was just silky smooth, man. And I don't think nobody, when we're talking about, you know, the best flows of the 90s in that era, I think they get overlooked, you know, both of them. And, you know, they both were up there, in my opinion. But, you know, this is definitely a classic album.
Sean, you want to wax?
I'm gonna be honest, fellas. Be honest. It's gonna sound crazy. I wasn't feeling this when it came out. I'm be honest. It took me.
Was it the production? I mean, in my opinion, Ski killed it.
It was everything. It was everything. I'm be honest. This came out January '97, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was locked in with Ghostface Iron Man. I was locked in with It Was Written. I was like everything that came around it for me. I couldn't filter through those things to get to that. If I'm being honest. When I heard Lucchini, I didn't like the beat. I thought it was too noisy. I thought it had too much going on. And I really, again, my ears. I was with RZA. My ears are on Wu. I was on that Wu palette at that time. And then It Was Written had just dropped over the summer. I couldn't get through any of it. I couldn't get around that to enjoy this in real time. I had to go back to this a couple of years later to understand why people was like really, really, you know, giving it so much love, because I couldn't understand it in real time. I'm being honest with you. My ears couldn't gravitate.
So Sean, what I'm going to tell you is that I actually echo some of your sentiments, because the same thing happened to me. And this is why having the OGs around you important. Oh no, my cousin Six, who was 4 years older than me, he swore by this album, and every time I hopped in the fucking car with him, it was playing. And so I couldn't avoid it. And one day, I can remember, I forgot where we were coming. We were probably coming from the east side of Charlotte off Independence and North Sharon Amity and headed back to West Boulevard. And we rode, and it was late. He had bought a bottle of Malibu and let me drink. I'm like fucking 15, 16 years old, and I listened to that shit, and I'm like, this shit is great. He's like, I know. He's like, I've been playing it for 2 months nonstop, and it's the first time your stupid ass has said something about the album, nigga.
Yeah.
So Sean, I was in the same boat as you. It's just my cousin. My cousin, like I thank him for all of my hip hop knowledge, because he forced everything down my throat, even if I refused to listen to it. This is one of those albums. And one day I popped up and realized, I was like, this album is fucking genius.
Yeah, for real. I had to go back to it. Like, I had to understand why people was giving so much love to it. I can't understand it. Like, I'm
like that.
I'm somewhere else.
Crazy, Sean. The beats are crazy.
It is.
AG, to your do or die point, the reason why I give Cooley High the edge over Do or Die is because think about the 3 singles from the album, and you tell me who did a better job at making the singles. These guys actually were hit makers, because Lucchini, Cooley High, and Uptown Saturday Night, the record, and what was the other one? They had 4 records. Like, that shit was banging.
I'm glad you brought up the singles, Coop, because I was going to bring up singles in another conversation. So it's a very important thing to talk about, especially when we're talking about that era. But Sean, I was going to say this, like, and I'm not trying to be funny or nothing, but you know, I'm learning this about you. I think that's like the way you explained it. I think that's a you thing, not more so the album just not being it. It seems like, you know, when we talk about these album anniversaries, like once you're locked in on something and you're like really locked in, you don't really steer away from that to tap into nothing else. You might go back to it later, but once you're locked in with one thing, you kind of like stay there in that wheelhouse. Correct?
Yeah, because music to me timestamps where I was mentally, right? Where I was mentally, where I was, you know, physically, whatever the case may be. I can timestamp places in my life on what I was consuming music wise. And when I think about that year, 97, early 97, 96, that was like a pivotal year for a junior in high school. That's a pivotal year for me at that time, because I'm dead set on Iron Man at this time. Ghost, at this point, I'm thinking that Ghost, in my mind, Ghost is my number 2 MC of all time. You see what I'm saying? So I'm still listening to everything from Iron Man. I'm still listening to It Was Written. It's all in full rotation for me.
Sean, can I ask you a personal question just because you are such a big Ghost fan?
Yeah.
How can you be such a big Ghost fan and be with the slangistics like that and not love what Camp Lo's doing?
Lucchini is crazy.
How is the rap listener that loves Ghost not attracted to Camp Lo? Because the rap listener in me that loves Ghost and Ray and even Kappa guys is like, oh no, Camp Lo's from that same linguistic tree. It's just more uptown Harlem blaxploitation talk than that grimy Staten
More
Island
player
/
shit. You know what I'm saying?
talk.
Yeah.
Well, Ghost and Ray on some Staten Island Brooklyn shit. Like Camp Lo is definitely on some uptown Harlem shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, for sure.
But the slang, to quote Capadonna, the slang editorial.
Oh, absolutely. But see, Coop, in real time, I didn't know
the
that.
when I said slang editorial.
Yeah.
Just saying slang editorial made the car drift to the right.
Yeah,
No.
That's a
No
dope
more of that.
quote.
No more
Slang
of that.
editorial.
No more of that. Slang. No more of that.
Yeah.
No more of that.
But see, Coop, that's the thing. I didn't give it a chance. Yeah, I didn't give it a chance. I didn't know all of those things until like a year later. Because again, what else came in '97? Jay came out in '97. The War Report came out in '97.
Right.
Jay, Rakim, The Firm.
Yeah.
Look.
Puff,
All of
Wyclef,
this. Woo.
Mace.
But look though, to y'all's point, that's why your inner circle is important. Like Coop spoke to, you know what I'm saying, his older cousin putting him on, which I had older cousins as well putting me on to certain things as well. But my own age group and my own inner circle of friends, we would divide and conquer. I'm talking about like records, something was dropping every week. We would go to the record store and, you know, we had our little allowance in our part-time jobs or what have you. And we had so many money, but so much stuff was coming out. We would divide and conquer. We was like, yo, these 5 albums drop. I'm definitely paying my money on this one, but I'm kind of iffy on this one. You cop that one. We cop the Memorex, you know what I'm saying? 90, you know what I'm saying? 120-minute joints. I'm a W this, we'll swap. You know, you dub me that joint, and we can have all the albums that come out at the same time. Even if we only got enough money to buy one album, I'm going to the record store 5 or 6 deep, and we each pick up one joint, and all the other joints is getting dubbed. That's how we roll. I'll tell you straight up. I was on this album in real time, but did I own the physical copy of it? No, I did not. What I had was a dub. But you know what I'm saying? That's how I heard all the music back then. We divided and conquered.
So hold on. So AG is right. So I want to piggyback off of that. I never bought a Tupac or Scarface or Wu-Tang album till me and Six lived in separate places because he had all of that shit already. It's like, what I need to buy Tupac album for? This nigga got Tupac album. I didn't have to buy Pac until we lived in separate hoods. And that was when All Eyes on Me came out. It's like, I got to go buy All Eyes on Me. I said, because this nigga's on West Boulevard and I'm on Beatty's Ford. We did the divide and conquer shit too. I would intentionally not buy stuff because I knew he was going to buy it. I didn't need to go buy Bone album. Cuz was going to go buy Bone album. All that hieroglyphics and Far Side shit, I never had to go buy that stuff. He was going to buy it. I was like, I'll just wait for this nigga to come pick me up. We only 15 minutes away. We still on the west side. We in the same hood. You know what I'm saying? We just in different parts of the hood.
Not my crew. We were all knowledge God. It's like, you know,
yeah.
God.
That's that New York shit.
Peace God. That's how we was on, man. Like, yo, studying 120.
Sean, no, he ain't know. Sean was failing mathematics in the 5% of the nation and in school. Sean was failing mathematics all the way around.
Oh, man. You forgot Wu-Tang Forever came out that same year. I would just
now, I'm going to be honest with you. Wu-Tang Forever is what had my attention that year, but you got to keep in mind, this is January. This is 6 months before Wu-Tang Forever.
Wu came out towards the summer,
yeah. But again, when the Iron Man came out? When Iron Man came out?
Yeah, that's still
August. Iron Man, right. Hold on. Well, Iron Man's August 96.
Because we live with albums longer, so you're still playing Iron Man early 97 for sure.
Nigga, I played Iron Man 3 weeks ago.
Facts.
Played Iron Man 3 weeks ago, nigga. I played Supreme Clientele 2 days ago, nigga. We gotta have. We need to have a whole Supreme Clientele conversation soon.
Yo, why are we on Uptown Saturday night though? Are we going to have the Jay conversation? I think that's necessary around the album.
We can go ahead and close it out with that. I'm gonna let you take that, AG. I just want to close out by saying that this is a 4.5 mic album.
That's fair.
It's 4.5.
That's fair. But it's a lot of 4.5 mic albums that we call classics in some sense. You know what I'm saying? So
see, that's the thing. So for me, an album don't necessarily need to be a 5 to be a classic, because I could go to some of our best albums. Like I can go to NWA straight out of Compton and we can start, picking nits and shit. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you really want to do at the end of the day. I can go to Get Rich or Die and pick some nits and be like, oh, well, this shit on the back end of the album is mixtape shit that niggas in the street had already heard. So how, you know what I'm saying? How we gonna give them a 5?
yeah.
We're gonna take the 5 away because 50 put some mixtape songs on there? Like, really? That's what we doing?
Yeah, if you was really plugged in, I think you consider this a classic. But if you just say it's a solid album and not a classic, I'm not mad at that either.
No. I'm mad at that. When I listen to the beats and the rhymes and the style and the fact that you were about to wax poetic about how they inspired Jay-Z himself, it's hard for me to say that the album ain't a motherfucking classic, AG.
Yeah, and the production was there. Ski Beats did his thing, and then Ski had the connection with Rockefeller, and a lot of people don't know. Fun fact. Feeling It didn't make that. There was a version of Feeling It over the Feeling It beat that was supposed to be for Camp Low that on that album. And then Jay ended up getting that beat from Ski, and he ended up his whole style on Feeling It, flow pattern, everything. He kept the same hook, same beat, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mecca on the hook, all that. And he stole, I think it was Geechee Sway's flow, I believe, on the Feeling It record. Stole his flow and kept it the same. And he wanted the Lucchini beat too, but Ski wouldn't give it up. He kept it for Camp Low. And then the word is, well, this is out of their mouth. They said that Jay offered $7,000 for the Lucchini beat, but Ski still wouldn't even give it up to him. But he did end up getting Feeling It out of those sessions. And you can go on YouTube and look it up, but it's a version of Feeling It that Camp Low had first, and Jay-Z used his flow style on that. So it's not the first time that's happened, but
of course he did.
So you got anything to add to that, Sean?
No.
No. Don't let Sean add the shit about Jay-Z. Yeah. Okay. We need the subscribers. No. We need the subscribers. Don't let Sean add anything. Sean's done. Okay. Let's move to the next topic. No. Let's go to the super chats and let's go to the locks. We are the streets, please. Let's not give Sean any Jay-Z airtime. Yeah. We need not do that.
You know what it is.
Pull up the chat.
You see it?
Yo, shout out to Christopher Hogan with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Let's see. Jamil, Nam X is another dope lyricist. Y'all should tap in with New Orleans in the building. Salute y'all. I hope I said that right because I'm not familiar with who that is. You know who that is, Sean? You know what I'm saying? You be on NO. Okay.
I just got back from the NO this morning. I know who that is.
How do you say that?
Jamil Naeem.
Naeem. Okay. Jamil Naeem X. Yeah. Okay, there's 007 pulling up. Glad you're here, bro. $2 super chat. Queens get the money. That's for you, Sean.
Yeah.
00. I'll be
CJ the Kid.
Me and 00 about to link up again soon. It's about to be another extravaganza.
CJ the Kid with the $5 super chat. If Elliot Wilson gave me that 3.5 mics, the more reason not to trust him. There's a lot of reasons not to trust Elliot.
I mean, think about this, man. Like think about this. They gave an album with Lucchini and Cooley High on it, 3.5. That's 4 right there. Yeah,
but I don't think that was Elliot though. Elliot was XXL. That was the source that gave it a 3.5, right?
Oh, right. Because XXL is 1997. That is the startup actually.
Yeah.
When he's like,
yeah. LP, yo, shout out to LP with $5 super chat. Tommy was way more fly than Fedora's bell bottoms. Ghost and Ray represented the style back then, way more than Camp Low. That was their main knock. If you was a street dude, you was more into, you know what I'm saying, like the streetwear fly talk like Ghost and Ray was doing. You know what I'm saying? Camp Low was on that fly stuff, but it was more so like that player stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
We good? That was the last one, AG.
Okay.
All right. So we got another anniversary. We are the streets.
Yes, sir. Now, I'm glad that we just had that conversation about can a 4.5 mic album be considered a classic, because I don't consider this a 5 mic album by any stretch of the imagination. But for me, this is a personal classic.
I don't think it's a classic. Just don't.
I don't hold it as a classic.
The beats aren't good enough.
I said personal. I don't know where hip hop holds it, but I have it as a personal classic.
They messed this one up too, because this is a 4 instead of a 3.5 to me.
So you think the first one was a 3.5? Money, Power, Respect was a 3.5.
Might be a 3. First one might be a 3.
Damn.
Might be a 3. The album didn't pick up the record like 11, guys.
Damn.
Like
I think this is a solid 4.5. I give it a 4.5, Mike.
It's a 4.5. I think I give it a 4.
I'm not mad at a 4.
So you think Uptown Saturday Night and We Are the Streets are the same level?
Yeah. I
do.
See,
I don't.
I prefer to listen to We Are the Streets between the two. If I had to pick one, I'm picking We Are the Streets.
Okay. I think the bar work is better, but the beats aren't just there. Like, how about this? When I look at a joint like Styles on Felony, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh no, Styles is killing it. That beat could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Even in hold on. Which one has Recognize? Recognize is Recognize the one?
It's on We Are the Streets.
Yeah, Recognize on there.
That's not the first. That's not the first. Like, we need something better the first time that we hear Preem in the locks, beat wise from Preem. We do. I'm just gonna hold him to higher standards because he's.
How do y'all like Wildin' Out as a single?
I don't.
I didn't like that.
The club scene back then, that song used to go crazy in the club scene.
Oh yeah.
In 2000.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Ride or Die should have been the lead single. It's just easy. It would have went platinum. They should have went and got the money. Puff taught them how to get the money. They could have stayed with the street ethos and still got the money with Ride or Die.
Ride or Die chick.
If you really want to know, if you really want to know the truth, guys, the record that they really should have dropped is Breathe Easy. Breathe Easy.
That's my second favorite song on here.
It's the best.
Breathe Easy is crazy.
Breathe Easy is the best record on there.
Can I Live is my third favorite, but my favorite easily is FU. That's
out the gate.
I think that's Swiss's best performance, beat wise.
Yes.
And bar work, what they're all three are doing on there, high level. That's one of my favorite joints to start off an album. I know we talk about album intros and whatever, but as soon as you put that on and FU comes on, that's one of my favorite starters to an album to kick it off.
It is.
From the hook to the bars, the beat, everything.
I think it's a better album starter than it is all-time great song, to be honest with you. But I hear what you're saying, because lyrically speaking, that and Breathe Easy might be the best tracks on there. I don't love Swiss production on this album, guys. Like, I almost feel like this album to me feels like the stuff that didn't make Flesh of My Flesh.
It depends on where your expectations are for Swiss work. You know what I'm saying? I think FU is the best that Swiss can do.
See, if that's the best thing he can do, that's not good enough for me.
I don't hold Swiss up that high. Like, Swiss not even sniffing my top 10 producers.
No. I think this is where we started seeing Swiss kind of running his course.
Right here, second floor.
I think we saw him running his course around this album time frame. You're right. FU might be one of his best production wise.
If y'all y'all saying that, it's frightening to me.
It's up there.
It's
up there.
Yeah, we losing you, Coop.
All right. Shit.
Yeah, Coop was fading out.
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right.
Peace and prayers, bro.
Prayers up, man. Yo, prayers to the homie Coop. He got some personal things going on. That's why he was en route to get to the hospital. But keep Coop and his family in your prayers. And salute to that brother going through this challenging time. So again, salute to Coop. But yeah, man. I felt like this album, I don't know if I give it a 4.5 AG. I'll probably get it maybe a 4. Just because of the energy around it. I think the energy to me was the biggest thing for the album to me. I remember listening. I remember reading the actual the report from the source, and the source like really didn't like it. They were saying it was too much focus on Puffy, and it was a lot of focus on Puffy.
A lot of subs on this album.
Subs on Puffy. But overall, I do think that this album, to me, it's one of, I think it's their best album. I think it's their best album. Easy, right? But again, I think this is where Swizz was on his way, kind of like hitting that plateau around this album time frame, because Swizz had a pretty massive run. You know, he had a lot of hits in a short span of time. But it started running its course. You started hearing the recycling of some of that soundscape that he had. Like he wasn't growing as a producer. It was like a recycle period.
Yeah, by 2002, this album comes out in 2000. By 2002, Swizz's signature sound was obsolete by about 2002 going into 2003.
I think it was 2001. I think 2001.
He still was getting big placements in 2002, though. You know what I'm saying? Jay and Nas was still tapping into him. You know what I'm saying? X, like he was still getting looks.
I mean, what was out there in 2002 from Swizz?
If you're talking about singles, then no, but you know what I mean? He was still getting album placements.
He had the General, you know, that wasn't,
you know what I'm saying? He had the Godson bonus joint, the GOD, and and then on J joint, he had the bonus track on the Blueprint 2.1, the Stop. I mean, these are bonus tracks, but still they still calling this number. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think that he was hit or miss at that time, because remember, he started going into a whole different path. He dropped his own album. He had like the Swizz joints, and then he started for Cassidy. He had some good joints with Cassidy.
Right. Oh yeah, see, yeah, he was still, you know what I mean, the Cassidy joint. Yep.
Hotel joint with him and Kels.
Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of went into that little
Hustler was big. What year is Hustler?
Hustler was big. That was like what, 2000?
That was 2003?
2003, I think. 03.
Yeah, so Swizz was still kicking. He might have been on life support, but he was like doing his thing. Like, but I think to Coop's point, maybe he holds Swizz higher in the echelon of producers than we do. Shout out to the homie Trife. I think that Swizz is actually Trife's favorite producer of all time. I think Trife had him ranked number one. But yeah, like I don't hold him that high. So my expectations when I hear tracks like FU, I think that that's like, yo, this is Swizz at his best. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm not saying that the bar is like super low, but like, you know what I mean? That's a standout track for him.
No doubt. But yeah, man, I love this track. I mean, I love this album. FU is definitely one of those. And the energy that the Locks brought, but We Are the Streets. Man, it was a good time. It was a good time in 2000 to kick the year off.
I think the moment, you know, and we'll talk a little bit to this point later. I'm gonna have to agree with y'all. I might have to drop my mic rating at least down to a 4.25. You know what I mean? Because the moment surrounding this album, them leaving Bad Boy, doing the Let the Locks Go campaign, you know what I mean? It was just a big mess. You know, they finally get out of, you know, that situation, go over to Rough Riders, which they already were with the Rough Riders as far as Rough Riders management, but they made it official and got to do this album. And I think it was a lot of expectations. Their soundscape changed, you know what I mean? It was more gritty, it was more street. Yeah. But I think that for the expectations of what they were to live up to, the album didn't deliver that. You know what I mean? So that goes to your point. You know what I mean? So I would have to be an objective, drop my mic rating a little bit on that. You know,
it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on at that time because again, Rough Riders was on there was on a massive run. X was the lead dog, you know, no pun intended. So they had a lot going on during that time. And again, the expectation for this album was massive because you felt like you were going to get a true street album from the Locks, which you got. But again, some of these singles, you got Ride or Die Chick. I didn't like that single because if you're going to get away from the Shiny Suit era, I don't think you should come out with a lead single in Ride or Die Chick with Timbaland and that kind of beat from Timbaland.
Yeah, because that's in that same wheelhouse. You know what I mean? So, but
wheelhouse.
We'll get to this a little later too. You know, we was there in real time, Sean, and as dope as the Locks are as a group and as anticipated as they were, year 2000, people was the buzz for his Jadakiss solo album was just as loud as the buzz for Locks group album.
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. Let's get his super chats. I like where you're going with that. You got Chief. What up, Chief?
Yo, shout out to Chief. You know what I'm saying? Chief be going crazy in the Discord. Chief said, I'm back, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blackity black, and I'm black, y'all. What up?
Wow, man.
Chief crazy, man. Yo, the Razorhead with the $2 super chat. Was Styles P the best MC on We Are the Streets? I'm gonna say no.
I don't. He was the blunt force on the album.
The enforcer.
The enforcer.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I just said, people were starving for a Jadakiss solo album, and Jada was evidently the best on that album. I think clearly, but it was something about Sheik's verses on that album, man. There's so many standout Sheik verses on that album. Sheik was my favorite in the Bad Boy era. Yeah. Then in the Rough Riders era, you know, Jada, you know, leapfrog him, and Jada's been, you know, in my top 5. I'm gonna said it on the show many a times, but I will say, even though Jada's better on that album, I just like the way, you know, Sheik was just killing the verses on there. He was that I don't know, he just had a flair. Even though Jada was better lyrically, I think Sheik's verses had more flair to him on We Are the Streets.
Yeah, he was in the pocket.
Oddly enough, I would put Styles last.
Yeah, he was in the pocket. Definitely in the pocket.
Raising Head, appreciate you, bro. This album came out before DMX. If this album came out before DMX,
I don't know.
It don't work the same.
That's a good point. I mean, that's a really good point, because X was consuming so much of the market at that time. Even the soundscape, everything that X was doing. I mean, you're talking about is dark. You know what? 98. You got 98 again with Flesh in My Flesh. 99. You got what? And then there was X.
Yeah. But I look at it as the inverse, though. I look at it as the inverse. I never looked at it like that. That's a crazy way to look at it if it came out before DMX. But X is already on the scene for 2 years by the time this comes out, right? Yeah. I looked at this like, what would this album be with an X feature? Because if you making your Rough Riders debut, X is the only name missing from the feature list on here. You know what I'm saying?
It is. Yeah, that's a good point.
This album might look totally different if they, now granted they had X on the first album. Money, Power, Respect was the best, you know, cut on that first record. Yeah. If they get another solid X feature on this joint.
But what version X you going to get at this time? This is 2000.
X was still X in 2000, bro.
He was, but X was also kind of going into that, you know, that movie stuff, and he also had the other things going on too. God bless the dead. You know what I mean? Remember, we didn't hear back to X again until 2001.
They still needed an X verse.
It did, but I'm just saying, what version though? What version?
I don't care what version. They needed an X verse. I don't care what version. They needed that.
X.
But did you ever think about, in real time, didn't you think that was like, you know, maybe it was scheduling stuff or whatever, but, you know, this is putting a stamp, you know what I'm saying? Like you waving the Rough Riders flag and their main guy is not featured on the album. I thought that was funny in real time.
In real time, I didn't think about it. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I guess I wasn't checking for an X feature because I felt like it wasn't needed in real time. Talking about it right now, I'm thinking like maybe it needed an X feature. You know what I mean?
But let's look at what came before that. On Money, Power, Respect, you got the title track, Money, Power, Respect, classic record.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
On X's debut record, you got what? Niggas Done Started Something, right?
Yeah, classic
record, right? Yeah. On on Flesh in My Flesh, you got Blackout, correct?
Absolutely. Every time it was golden. Yeah.
And not to mention, We Don't Give a, you know what I'm saying? That too with Jada. And all right, classic record.
24 Hours to Live.
Another classic record, correct?
Yeah.
String of classic records. If they get another one of those on We Are the Streets, we might be having a different conversation today. One track like that could bump up an album from a, you know what I'm saying, a 4 to a 4.5 or a 5.
I agree. I don't disagree at all. And
I just thought that was weird in real time, man.
In real time, I just didn't think about it until we were talking about it now. So yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's a good super chat. Damn good super chat. Where you want to go, man? Do you want to go with the over 40, or do we want to roll into like that expectation thing? Because this kind of like leads into that conversation. About,
yeah, we're already here, man. Let's stay there.
Let's go into that. So we want to give shout out to the Discord dialogue. Straight up, the Discord, the HipHopTalks Discord. Yo, shout out to the whole crew over there. Coming up with some great stuff. We chat all day, all night. It's like continuous in the Discord. We post polls in the Discord that to just ask questions about different parts of hip hop and periods of hip hop. And for this one, I thought that AG shared it with me. I'm like, yo, this is a good one. So AG, let's talk about it, man. Tell the people what we want to talk about.
Yeah, man. I was just taking myself back to that era because we had a lot of conversation about We Are the Streets leading into Jada Kiss's solo album. And infamously enough, everybody says Jada Kiss doesn't have a classic solo album, but he came close. A lot of people don't consider Tical a classic solo album out of all the first Wu-Tang album run, but they said he might have came close. And Prodigy had a lot of expectations with HNIC coming off all the Mobb Deep classics. And, it kind of fell short. So I was asking myself, and I put the question in the Discord, which artists without a certified classic solo album came the closest to delivering expectations on their debut album? And the choices were Prodigy with HNIC, Method Man with Tical, and then Jada Kiss with Kiss the Game Goodbye. And as far as what the Discord voted, Jada Kiss won at 57%. And so they said that he delivered, the most out of the three of them with his solo effort. And surprisingly, Prodigy came in second with 29%, and Method Man came in last with 14%. So what have you to say to that, Sean?
Man, I went back and listened to Tical again today and Kiss the Game Goodbye and HNIC. I'm be honest, man. And I had to think about this a lot on my flight about Meth. In real time, we never really talked bad about Tical. I never heard, again, from my lens, from my seat, I never heard anyone spoke ill about Tical. I never heard anyone say Tical was anything short of an amazing or great album. Years down the line, people started comparing it. I feel like they were comparing it to, Cuban Link, Liquid Swords, Iron Man, even Return to the 36 Chambers. But when I listened to it again today, AG, I'm like, yo, Tical is not a bad album. It's just the fact that I think Tical was an extension musical wise, not as far as like songs. I'm talking about like just music wise. It was an extension of Into the 36. And because RZA was still in that dark, damp type of, production, gritty,
very dark album, very dark
album, right? And I think the thing that hurts Tical, if you want to say anything, hurt it, because I still listening to it today. I'm like, the only thing that is just not vibrant. It's not a vibrant album, but it also came out in '94, right? I think the thing that probably impacted Tical was the fact that you have Return to 36 Chambers, which is a vibrant album. You have, after that, you got what Only Bit for Cuban Links. Then you had Liquid Swords. Then you had Iron Man.
No, yeah, Return to the 36 after Tical. Oh, I didn't hear you say that. Yeah. Okay.
That's a vibrant album. Return to 36 is vibrant, right? It's a lot of personality in that album, right? And then you got Only Bit for Cuban Links, which we know what that is. And then you got, Jizza, Liquid Swords. We know what that is. Yeah. Then you turn around and got Iron Man. So now RZA is getting better and better at production and getting better and better at like orchestrating a phenomenal album from back, from front to back. And I think that's what gave Tical that blow. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because in real time, I don't remember anybody saying anything bad about Tical. I really don't.
No, I'm glad you spoke on that, because it was a victim of what came after it, not necessarily before it. You know what I mean? Because people were saying that after the other albums came. Here's how I look at Tical. Remember when in the dunk contest, I want to say it was 90, 98 maybe, J.R. Rodder did the East Bay Funk dunk between the legs, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we was like, oh shit, that's crazy. That's pretty impressive he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then years later, Cat started, you know what I'm saying, they had that to build off of, and was doing between the legs like windmills and between the legs like backwards, and you like, you know, building off of what he did, and like his dunk don't even look crazy no more. Because, you know, people had a little bit more flair and put a little more extra you know what I'm saying, mustard on, you know what I'm saying? So I think that was Tical. You know what I mean? Like it was dope for the time, but every chamber that came after that, it just kept building and building and building. And it was just like, you look at Tical and you just like, Tical's not that impressive, you know? But in real time, like you said, it was dope. But I think it's another thing that speaks to why Tical is not a classic, because I think it's common knowledge, and I think Cooper spoke to this, you know, before too. Meth is a better feature, probably the best feature rapper of all time, if not he's top 2 or 3, right?
Yep.
He is a better feature rapper than he is at making his own projects.
Facts.
So within the confinement of the clan, like I can pull any, you know, shadow boxing, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Any clan record that he's a feature on overshadows anything he's put out solo.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Yes. Because Tical, the palette of Tical doesn't fit Method Man's personality over the years, right? Because Tical is dark.
So are you saying that Tical's more RZA during that time?
Absolutely RZA.
Okay.
You can tell RZA had the influence all over Tical at that time. Because again, it's an extension of the darkest moments of
36
into Wu 36. It's an extension of the darkest parts of that. So now if RZA is in that chamber, if you will, he's giving that to Meth, which Meth is a colorful MC.
Can I ask you this? I think that Tical's darker than 36. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's like RZA got into like that chamber and he stayed there. Because you go back and you listen to the joints, even if you listen to All I Need with Street Life on it, the original. It's like it's an old A, but that song is pretty dark still. It's like,
for a shorty, it's like the play.
For shorty still, yeah. You know, I played it for my whiz at a young age. Like, hey.
Yeah, that's why they had to liven it up a little bit, you know?
That's when I started calling my whiz. Like, yo.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Meth trying to, you know what I'm saying, spit while you having a blank, no pupil contact in, and fangs in your mouth is crazy.
Right. So, I mean, again, if we can switch, you know, pace real quick and go to HNIC, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
I think it lends credence to HNIC. Like, the palette was different for P because this came out in 2000. You know what I mean? And you're talking about coming off the heels of the success of their most successful album as a group, right? Money-wise, you know, sales-wise, went platinum with Murder Music. So you get Murder Music, and you and I talked about this behind the scenes a couple of days ago, and you was telling me, like, yo, you reminded me, Quiet Storm was supposed to be the lead single on HNIC. That would have changed everything on HNIC.
Big facts.
Everything. But it will also change everything on Murder Music.
Good point.
Right?
Yeah. Things work out how they're supposed to a lot of times. And that would, you know, that was their most successful album on the strength of that record as the first single on the back of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we thought we was looking for, and rest in peace, Prodigy, man, Queens Get the Money. We were looking for that version of P to populate on HNIC based on what was going on in Murder Music. But AG, the crazy thing is, hold on, we got a super chat, bro.
Yeah.
Because I want you to share something you shared with me behind the scenes.
Okay.
The Raisin Head
Yo, appreciate the $10 super chat. Meth had almost unrealistic expectations because it sandwiched pause in between two classic Wu albums. It's almost impossible for him to sound like the cream hook for a whole album. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
very valid point.
But what's their expectations for Meth at that time?
Well, let's go through each individual album and then we'll compare them as a whole.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's stay on HNIC for right now.
Yeah. You told me that because we was talking behind the scenes about the timing of HNIC.
Mm-hmm.
We was thinking, what if it came out in 98, right before Murder Music? Do you think that would have changed everything with HNIC?
Yes, and for Prodigy as a solo artist, yes, it probably would have been for the better. But I think you bring up an interesting point. Like, what does that do for Murder Music?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like a, maybe in a multiverse, a different timeline. Maybe we see what that looks like. But I think things worked out how they were supposed to. Because would I trade a better Prodigy solo album for maybe a watered down Murder Music? No, I would not.
But see, that's the thing. If HNIC comes out in 98, a year before Murder Music, that takes the sales out of Murder Music, right?
Right, because that was their most successful record.
So what's the disconnect with Murder Music? I mean, with HNIC then?
Production was changing around that time. The palette of certain sounds and stuff. But we talked about this too. Prodigy didn't tap into what made him good. And when you want to talk about dark, sound and production, that's what he fits best on. And you're doing a solo record with like 20-something tracks, and you only got 2 from Havoc and 4 from Alchemist, who's up and coming at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not going to get the job done,
It's
so.
Not. But you don't have a Nas feature on HNIC.
So probably a reason for that.
We didn't know that though, right? Because
not in real time. No, we didn't know that they were on the outs.
The same thing that you said about DMX, and you named all the phenomenal songs that X and Lox were on together.
Mm-hmm.
X wasn't on We Are the Streets.
Right.
Same thing for Nas and P. This was probably one time that Nas and P would have had an actual song together, but no one else included, no other feature on there, like just them two.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, at the time we didn't know that there was some smoke behind the scenes. We didn't know that there were some issues. I didn't pick up on it until hearing the song 3 with Cormega.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, a song with Cormega? It's interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's still all, rewind back to that time, and I'm glad we're here. Rewind back to the time, it was rumblings of that, but it was still confusing. You know what I mean? Because I think they put on for the bridge, because I remember, being on in the hip hop blogs, and, and people was talking about like Turmoil and Queensbridge, and, it was well known about Nas and Mega, and then, some tension with Prodigy and stuff, and then Mega and Nature's tension or whatever. But then QB's Finest come out and everybody's in the Bridge 2001 together. Right. It's like pretty much like the Bloods and Crips tying their flags together, and, like putting their difference to the side to put on for the city. So that confused me, and it confused a lot of people, because once we saw that, we was like, oh, everything's all good.
Yeah. But we didn't know in real time. You just didn't know it, but you just noticed that Nas wasn't on a Prodigy, album in 2000. And again, we can sit back and go back and forth and say what was the disconnect with HNIC, but the overall production was the thing that killed it. I think the singles killed it as well. You don't have a single that's going to like really get you to like tap into it.
I'm glad you said it, but I'm gonna save my point for after we go through all the albums. But that's one of those things where we could play like, like as far as, Monday morning quarterback, and say, well, we would have did this or did that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's very well that Self-Conscious could have been on HNIC.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
it was in that wheelhouse.
It could Power Rap Freestyle could have been on HNIC. That would have elevated the album.
Yeah, it could.
But you know, they were reserved for the compilation. So, I mean, it's a lot of things that you can change or you know, swap out to make that album better. But it just didn't happen the way we wanted it to. And Prodigy, he had high expectations, man. We was waiting on that. And you know, I want you to speak a little bit about, like, you know, Jay using that opportunity to attack.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple of super chats.
Jermaine L. Johnson, peace, bro, with the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. Cream is not a classic hit anthem without Meth coming up with the hook. Ray and Deck were the MCs, but Meth was the glue that made that song. Absolutely. That's a big fact.
Absolutely.
CJ the Kid with the $5 super chat. Appreciate it, CJ. Remember, AG, Destroy and Rebuild was after the Bridge 2000. Beef was still in play. Yeah, but what I was speaking to, when this is in real time, when the turmoil was going on in 2000, but we didn't know it in real time. We were hearing about it. Sean probably more closer to it than me because, you know what I'm saying, he's from New York, but we were hearing about it. But seeing the Bridge 2001 video where everybody's in the video together made it seem like all was good at that point. I was like, wow, Nas and Cormega cool now. You know what I mean?
The thing about it is, like, a lot of people knew something was still up. That was like more so for the show, right? Because you're talking about less than a year in the year time frame of everything like really coming to the surface. I think the whole thing around Destroy and Rebuild was more around just the fact that it caught people off guard when he said P. You know what I mean? When he mentioned P by name, because I don't think no one really knew for sure that there was some issues going on. You know what I mean? No one knew for sure. You kind of heard some mumblings, but you couldn't quantify that. You couldn't say, oh yeah, they got some smoke over there. You knew there was something back and forth to him and Mecca. You knew that. Even when it pieced up, it was still something going on there regardless. Because certain things were said that you just can't take back within a couple months. You got to build that thing back. And the good thing is they have built it back over the years now, right? But during that time, it's hard to build those things back when things were said and things were done. And you got different crews on both sides, 40th side and 41st side clashing already. Queen's politics. So you got all that stuff going on at the same time. And in the middle of that, you know, P trying to jock for position too, because P trying to be the next man, because everyone is telling P, you better than the Son, or you just as good as Son. And Jay saw that. He saw the success of Quiet Storm and what Murder Music was doing, and Mobb Deep finally got that platinum album. And P even said it, be like, yo, we finally got that platinum. So now it's time for me to do my thing. Jay was holding tight until that happened. When HNIC came out and didn't do that, Jay was like, oh, what? You barely going gold? I got you. Take over, the breaks over. That's when the takeover coming out. You
remember the bar, my album sold with your whole album sold in his first week.
Because he knew at that time, you're not messing with me. You're not messing with me. Because again, everything was going off of record sales, right? The record sales were the determining factor of the interest of the artist. It is today, but it's skewed more today than it was back then with physical copies. But back then it was like, the interest in that artist is based on record sales. And Jay knew that. Yeah, like, you better go and gold on your solo joint. All right. Okay. I got the
taking the armor.
Yeah. Takeover. The break's over. You know what I mean? And that's what you get. I don't think you get the takeover like that if HNIC would have done like massive numbers or great numbers, to be quite honest. I just don't know if you would get the takeover.
I agree. I think it's a twofold thing. I don't think we get it if HNIC is what it is or Nostradamus is what it is. And which brings me to the next point. I'm going to share what we texted about the other day, because this is going to be controversial, but I listened to HNIC all week, for the past few days. For 20 plus years, 24 years, I always maintained that was a 4 mic album. After listening to it a lot over the past few days, I had to drop the rating to a 3.5. I really did. And I was like, this is not a 4 mic album. It's definitely a 3.5. You know, Coop was surprised by my rating of We Are the Streets. I think We Are the Streets is way better than HNIC. But I asked Sean a question because I was like, it was kind of like a revelation. I was like, man, if HNIC is only 3.5, I personally rank Nostradamus a 3.5. And I was like, this is the burning question. I was like, what's better between HNIC and Nostradamus? Yeah. For me, I said Nostradamus. Sean, you don't have to reveal what your answer was. I'm bold enough to say it. Yeah. But for me, it was Nostradamus. I was like, if I got to pick between the two, man, I think Nostradamus can take out HNIC in the verses or something like that.
It'd be an interesting one. It'd be tough. It'd be tough. Honestly, man, because we wanted so much from HNIC. Yeah. I mean, even the first promo. Remember the first promo? P sitting in like a, it was like a glass,
like the George Gervin joint, the ice throne, yeah, the
ice throne. You know what I mean? With the Air Force Ones on, great Air Force Ones, iconic. We saw all of this. We saw this coming down the pipeline, and we were like, "Yo, P about to do something special." Because the buzz, and again, and I know we're going to talk about this here to wrap it all up, but the buzz for P was years in the making, right? Because you're talking about, I'm not even counting Juvenile Hill. I'm talking about when Mob was Mob, right? I'm talking about Infamous on. So you're talking about 95 up until 2000. You got 5 years anticipation from the first time he said, I got you stuck on the real, and this would be the Infamous. There was an appetite for P, right? From the masses. You got 5-year build up to get to that. Method Man had less than a year build up to anticipate a solo project. So he didn't, there was not, if Tical would have came out in a different palette, different soundscape, maybe 96, maybe Old Dirty came out the chamber first. I don't know, with, Return to the 36, right? And Meth come out 96. Maybe would have had a different conversation about it, because maybe by that time RZA would have mellowed out a little bit, kind of give Meth a little something different.
RZA's on them shrooms.
Shrooms heavy, man. But maybe he would have given something different. But the same thing for P, AG. P had 5-year build up.
Not only the years, I'm glad you took it here because I was going to take it here later, but not just the years. Let's look at what's in front. You said Method Man. Everybody has something that led up to their solo album. Meth had one certified classic that preceded his album, right? And granted, it's 36 Chambers, which for me is a top 5 album all time, but still,
all time.
One album. Even if you don't count Juvenile Hell, the infamous Hell on Earth and Murder Music, all classics. Agree?
Absolutely.
All right.
Got better.
That's 3 classic albums prior to your solo debut. Then Jada had Money, Power, Respect, and We Are the Streets, which, like I said, even though We Are the Streets is a personal classic for me, I can admit neither one of those albums are certified classics.
Right.
And he has some dope features or whatever. So if you look at that landscape, between the 3, I think P had the most pressure.
He had to, because you got the infamous, right? And I know people don't, we talk about Juvenile Hell, but let's be honest, nobody would check for Juvenile Hell in real time. A lot of people didn't know Juvenile Hell existed.
I didn't know it existed until after the infamous was out.
It was so much of a big jump between Juvenile Hell to Infamous. It was ridiculous. It's almost hard to even talk about Juvenile Hell. But you're talking about when P became P, because P was mentioned amongst the pantheon of who's who of hip hop at that time in 95, 96. We were talking about P as being one of the big dogs. He was up there, right? So you got, the only thing different was he was in the group. He was, the other half of a group, but he was holding his own on every feature. He was holding his own on his own. He was doing everything right. So the anticipation was, again, I told you this. I said, what if he would have had the soundscape that Fat Joe had with Don Cartagena? Maybe not the exact beats, but somewhat of that direction of 98 when, you know, Don Cartagena. Imagine
that would have been crazy.
Imagine P having that. We're having a whole different
But I think the pressure that P had on him would be the equivalent of Andre 3000 saying he's going to drop a solo album after Aquemini.
That's a good point.
I think it would be that. I think P's level of anticipation was that high.
That's a good
because
point.
you look, you know, Aquemini, ATLian, Southern Playalistic. That's 3 classics.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So P in front of his solo, he had 3 classics.
Yes. Yeah.
So imagine if Andre said that he was going to release a solo after Aquemini, the level of anticipation it would have been and expectations. I think that's what P had on him. So between these 3, even though I agree that Jada delivered the best, P had the highest bar, I think.
I agree because Jada was getting a lot of cosigns.
A lot of looks, a lot of dope features, a lot of, you know.
He was, you know, big cosign J, right? Nas cosign J. You know, J cosign, you know,
big before he left.
That's what I'm saying. Big first one out the gate said he was the one, right? You got Nas, you got J. Everyone, who's who need to cosign you, Kiss got those cosigns straight up and down. And again, his feature run in between time was ridiculous. Everything that he was getting on, he wasn't sparing the bar. He wasn't sparing the bar. He wasn't sparing the moment. And he was almost before. I know people talk about Lil Wayne's feature run and kind of ramping up to the Carter 2 and the Carter 3. We got that in Jadakiss, you know, since inception.
Yeah, I mean, you look at John Blaze. Like, John Blaze is 98, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Fat Joe is Fat Joe, but you got Nas, Pun, and Ray on the same track, and we looking at Jada like, yo, Jada is hanging with all them.
Yeah, he's young.
You know what I'm saying?
Young. You talking about year in the game by this time? Year in the game. I mean, he's out there. He's sparring with DMX when DMX was the hottest thing on the planet at that time. Right. So he's sparring with him. He's not sparing the bar. So and again, the years you're talking about from 97 up until 2001.
He had time.
Although he got a snag with the whole the locks and the bad boy separation. He got a snag in there. But Jada also checked all the boxes that P wasn't checking at that time. Jada was able to hop on a Mariah Carey joint, as Coop mentioned before. We was waxing his boots on Jada, you know, in Bean's conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he was getting on tracks with Mary, tracks with Mariah.
And Jada's very charismatic. For as much as we hold Meth up for being charismatic, Jada on a feature is just as charismatic during that time.
And he was doing a little subtleties to make him charismatic, right? Smiling, like the big smile, right? On the record, you know, being there with Maya, right? Being there with Mary, being there with Mariah, being there, just being able to do kind of bob and weave on everything. He was checking all these boxes. He was giving you the most flawless, gruesome, shoot you in your face flows, but he was also catering to the women at the same time. So he was on the mixtapes at that time, and he was on the speakers at that time. And
so let's go ahead and transition there. Like, you know, with the mixtapes, like you spoke about, going into Kiss the Game Goodbye. I've already said on this channel multiple times. Me and Lo argued about it on Stationhead and stuff. He tried to tell me that Jeezy's TM 101 is better than Kiss the Game Goodbye. Is better, and it's a classic by the standard that Jeezy had, right? You know what I'm saying? It's classic. Jeezy's standard of rapping or what's expected out of him is not Jada Kiss's level of standard or what's expected out of him.
Not at all.
So if you're saying that TM 101 is better than Kiss the Game Goodbye, let's just put it in the proper context. Based on it was a classic because it hit us out of nowhere and everybody was riding to it and we didn't have that level of expectation. It was a pleasant surprise. Jadakiss had a level of expectation that few can reach with that, heavy burden on them. So I'm gonna ask you. I think Kiss the Game Goodbye is a 4.5 album as well. Absolutely. It has everything an album could want. You know what I mean? You got your we gonna make it as one of the best all-time great hip-hop records of all time, right? For a posse cut, none of y'all better over Premier. Y'all talked about Recognize on We Are the Streets. Like, none of y'all better shits on Recognize, in my opinion.
I agree.
Put your hand put your hands up is a dope lead single. Knock Yourself Out is a banger, a club joint.
Crazy.
You got Crazy Records collabs, like you got Nas spitting like a demon on, So Discipline.
Brave hard.
You got it once again. When we talk about When the Locks Get with X, classic status, right?
Classic status.
Jada's first solo album has just about anything and everything you want. I'm gonna ask you, Sean, what keeps it from being a classic? What that half a mic or that mic? Why does it not get given to Jada on this project?
Man, I thought about this for years, bro. For years. In real time, I thought it was a classic. And I probably can argue my way into saying it's a classic, if I'm being honest with you. I think it might be bloated.
It needs some stuff cut.
I think it's bloated, and I think that's what kind of hurt it. Because I'm looking at it right now. You're talking about 21 altogether, but you got a lot of skits in there.
About 4,
somewhere. Right? 4 skits in there, right? Yeah. I don't know what could you take off. I think, again, if I'm looking at a buffet of a character in right, in Jadakiss, and he's checking all these boxes. I got a girl song on here, right? I got a hood song on here. I got an anthem song on here. Remember when Put Your Hands Up came out? That's a B-side record as your lead coming out, right? Then you're going to turn around and give me Knock Yourself Out, and you got the dance to come with it, a simple dance.
I mean, he had not me, but he had people wearing paper towel bandanas. That was a nasty time.
I didn't use the paper towel. I used the actual towel. I was overseas. They would call me Jada. Yeah. I was overseas, and I had like the towel.
Yeah, you had to have the bounty joint, the thick joint, so else, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I can't
be sweating through. Yeah. Joint fall apart on your head.
It's like coming apart. So I was using like an actual towel. I was using like a towel, and I turned into a bandana. But I'm looking at it right now. I don't know. I mean, Cruising even was a vibe.
Yeah, it was. And the conclusion I came up with, and this makes 0 sense when I say it in my head, so I'm going to just say it out loud. And you tell me if it makes sense to you. I've always came to the conclusion that you said he checks every box. To me, what keeps it from being a classic is I think classic records check all those boxes organically. But when I listen to the record, it sounds like we got to check this box. We got to have the girl joint. We got to have the club joint. We got to have the West Coast joint. We need the Snoop feature to get the West Coast. We need Fiend to get the down South love. You know what I'm saying? We got, you know what I mean? It's always seemed to me like it was very formulaic in his approach. Now, sometimes that happens naturally. And who am I to say that, I wasn't in the studio, so maybe it was natural. But to me, it sounds like, all right, we got these. We need one of those. Now we need to go get this. You know what I mean? That's how it sounds like.
But that's who he is, though. Those are all of the buckets that he has.
Right.
That's his variety. That's his bandwidth. You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost to a point where we're penalizing Jadakiss for being
what Jay-Z is lauded for.
Right. But we're penalizing that because Kiss the Game Goodbye to me is far more superior than all of Jadakiss other albums, in my opinion. In my opinion, I know a lot of people like his second album, his third album. I think
it's his best work.
To me, Kiss the Game Goodbye is his best work. It's the closest thing you're going to get to in his catalog, his personal catalog, to a classic.
But I think Ignatius is his most like
it's personable.
Right. I think that's his most honest approach where he wasn't trying to check boxes. He just went in there and rapped and recorded what came naturally.
Correct. But Kiss the Game Goodbye to me was always showing the different faces of Jadakiss, the different, styles of Jadakiss, the different, the range that because he has so much range.
Right.
If you go back and listen to Gangsta and the Gentleman, to me, which is a phenomenal album that we need to talk about one day.
Yeah. Some would say it's better than Jada's Joint.
I've heard people say some shout out to Corona Queens. Some did say it was better at that time. Honestly, because it was him authentic. It was authentic Styles P. You know what I mean?
Good Times is a unconventional hit. But it was a hit.
It was a hit. It was a hit.
But it's a lot of weed smokers out there, so
yeah, they were going crazy. But AG, I don't have a skip. I can't think of a true skip on Kiss the Game Goodbye, man. I just can't.
So if you could eliminate two, like let's take off the skips. If you could eliminate 2 tracks, what are those tracks? Run through the track list real quick in order, and because I think I got to remember. But
Jada's Got a Gun, which is
that
to me
that has to stay.
It's a great start to an album. Show Discipline
stays
top tier. Knock Yourself Out. You got to have that.
Stays
right. We're going to Make It classic.
Got to
right. None of Y'all Better.
Got to stay.
Come on. No, that's a skit. I'm a Gangster.
I'm cutting that one.
You can cut that. The Parlay. Shout out to Parlay. Nasty Girl. You can probably Carl Thomas on the hook.
It was necessary, but for the time.
It can be Put Your Hands Up.
That's big influence.
Absolutely. Put Your Hands Up.
Gotta stay.
Right. On My Way with Swizz.
Keep.
Yeah. Cruising. Gotta keep that.
Keep it.
I wanna slap a bitch across the head for shit to a pimp. Yo, Snoop was crazy.
We ain't talking about Snoop right now. Snoop in hot water.
Kiss Is Spitting.
Yeah, keep it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that sample is iconic, so
yeah. Nothing to What? You can probably cut that.
Yes. Yeah. That's another one cut.
It's Time I See You. God, that's a posse cut.
That beats that's a hard joint. Yeah, you got to keep that.
Keep that, right?
Yeah.
What You Ride For is crazy.
Nah, I'm cutting that. I get it. I get it for the South Reach, but I don't think that's necessary for this Jada album.
You have Young One on it. You got to remember Young One.
No, you don't. Nobody said you do.
Young One.
Shout out to Young One on World War III. You know what I'm saying? But he did his thing on there. But
you could have taken Young One off of World War III, though. You could put somebody else on there. You could have put Nelly.
That's how I feel about this song. And then the Fiend, on that track, which Cash Money was, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Cash Money, but No Limit was out of here during that time.
Yeah.
So I understand the move, but for me, I'm cutting that song.
You got to keep
Got to keep that.
Shout out to Philly. We got that Philly on that. Shout out to Arrow. Shoot to Kill. Stump niggas out. Boot the grill. I give you a reason why I'm the truth for real.
Yeah, he went crazy.
Went crazy. Feel Me.
That's my favorite Jadakiss song. That has to stay.
Keep Your Head High. Keep Your Head Up. I can probably cut that.
It's a good closer, but I'm not a big fan of that record.
Yeah, not a big fan.
But it's a good closer.
So I mean, he was maybe the Rough Riders formula wasn't the right formula for him on this one, because the ones that we are cutting are the ones that kind of was in that Rough Riders wheelhouse, because that was during the time Rough Riders was also trying to extend themselves to other areas also.
let me say this, and I'm glad the Discord voted like they did with Jada delivered the most. I think this is as close as you can get to a classic without it being a classic.
I agree.
I mean, it's just right there.
But again, man, look, we got a couple of super chats. I'm gonna ride hard for Jada on this one. Pause. Hold on, where we at? The Raisin Head.
Yo, Peace Raisin Head. How long was Peace run of actually being nice? 95 to 2000. I'm gonna give him to 2001. I'm extended to 2001.
I don't know if I give him 2001.
The stuff that he did, like QB's Finest, granted, we don't know when all of it was recorded, but he's still rapping at a pretty high level on QB's Finest, and that's the end of 2000.
Yeah.
So, raise a head, a buffet of Jada Kiss, Paul Sean.
Raise your head. I don't want to hear that.
CJ the Kid, appreciate you, bro. General consensus is Kiss of Death is his best and the closest to a classic. Bless you guys. Bless you too, CJ. I think it's as close as you can get without it being a certified classic, bro. I think
it gotta be, man. It gotta
be. You know, it was released in the wrong generation, I swear, because everything was so top tier then. And there's no shade to, shout out to Cole, recently had a birthday on the 28th. If Forest Hills Drive could be considered a classic, you know what I mean? Granted, it was big, big movement for his fan base. And it was like, it shifted the culture a little bit at that time. But if Forest Hills Drive can be considered widely as a classic, not only of this era, but all time, at least by his fan base, then I don't see why Kiss the Game Goodbye can't.
That's my point. I think it's closer than we want to give it credit for, because the knock that we're giving him is saying that he's going after other crowds, but he can do that. He's one of the few MCs, few rappers that can actually cross over into other regions and do those kind of songs. Not everyone can do that.
Let me ask you this. So it was really, we talked about Method Man to Cal, and it was more so people didn't hail it as a classic because of what came after. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, that was within his camp. Mm-hmm. This is all 2001. Do you think we look at Kiss's album different if the Blueprint and Stillmatic don't follow that just a few months later?
Absolutely. You got too much going in 2001. I mean, hell, you got DMX, The Great Depression came out in 2001 too, didn't it?
Yeah. And
the Great Depression to me wasn't X's, one of his best, but it was still pulverizing. You know what I mean?
And Beanie's the reason. That's my favorite Beans album. That came out 2001 as well, and he was battling Beanie.
Right.
But I think Kiss the Game Goodbye is the better album between the two.
I do too. Fab came out.
I think Kiss the Game, the Dynasty came out in 2000. I think the Kiss the Game Goodbye is far better than the Dynasty.
I do too. I think it's more appealing to me to listen to than that album. 2001 was an interesting year because Jay was like really dominating 2001 because he has so much carryover from 2000 into 2001, and then you're going to put the Blueprint on us. And so much was going on at that time too, because even though even in 2001, what else you had? You had Fab that came out in 2001,
same day as Jay. That was September 11th.
Same day as Jay. We can say what we want to say about it, but Ja Rule was still, he was still Ja Rule in 2001.
I think Jay and Nas is what hurt him though, because Kiss's album is in August.
Yeah.
Jay drops a month later in September, and Nas closes out the year in December. Stillmatic and Blueprint as albums are both certifiable 5 mics, no questions asked.
So.
And it's a different tier. But if those albums don't happen right after, if they get pushed to 2002, I think we're looking at Jada's album a little different.
So let me ask you this then. Does that still go right back? We talking about 3 phenomenal MCs. 3 phenomenal MCs at their height. No one can mess with them, right? So are we saying just the timing? Did they either jump the window or did they miss the window in their timing? Because again,
timing is everything.
It's everything, because you're talking about Jada from 97 to 2001, right? If Kiss the Game Goodbye, but I don't know if this sound, I'm thinking about the sound of 2001 as well. It fit 2001 sound.
Yeah, really, I think all of them happened when they were supposed to happen, because Meth was obviously the star of the clan, so they pushed him to the forefront. Like, to say that, I think Coop said it on one of these shows, and I disagree with him. Like, oh, they should have had Dirty out first. Like, Method Man is a whole solo song on 36 Chambers for a reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was very much the intent of them to showcase Meth first. So that happened in the order it was supposed to. Yeah. You posed a question about Prodigy in '98 as opposed, before Murder Music, and I still don't think it goes well for him, because coming off the success of Murder Music gave him more anticipation. Maybe he would have been able to live up a little bit more to the standard in '98, but they had their highest success coming off of Murder Music going into a solo album, and that's what you would want, your buzz to be at a high. And Jadakiss the same way. You get off of Bad Boy, you transition to be on the label that you want to be on and make the music that you want to make, and they're coming off of We Are the Streets the year before, leading up to his album. I think all three of those albums happened when they were supposed to.
No, I agree. I
don't think this is like an Inspector Deck type situation. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think that, to your point, you're right, because you can't. If you move things around like that, it's going to throw things back off. If you put HNIC in '98, yes, it would do well. It would do well. But what does that do to Murder Music? Do you cannibalize Murder Music by this time? Because now you're talking about taking away probably what the biggest song that made Murder Music what it was. The other thing to that was, remember, AG, these albums were getting pushed because, like, Murder Music also had Quiet Storm was on the soundtrack. It was on the Into Deep soundtrack, right? And when you get a song on the soundtrack, what does it do for you? And plus, they play it in a movie. So now you're talking about another booster.
Yeah.
Right? It's being played. They play like 2 or 3 songs off of Murder Music on the Into Deeps in the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
So
I think that could help you or hurt you, to your point, because Keep It Thorough, we talked about this before. By the time HNIC comes out, for that to be the first single, it was already bastardized as a song from the Backstage soundtrack. Yeah. We talk about singles running their course. Keep It Thorough had already ran its course by the time HNIC came out.
Yeah. Michael Brown, just people asking about Ola Ovito on Blueprint in the chat, asking, was it really trash? Yeah, Mike,
it's a skip.
It is trash.
It's a skip.
That was one of Timbo's. That was one of his bad beats.
Yeah, people always want to talk about Braveheart Party. Like, they try to discredit Nas and be like, yo, Stillmatic is 5 mics. Oh, well, but Braveheart Party, though, Jigga, that nigga Jigga is worse or on the same level as Braveheart Party.
Yeah, Jigga, my nigga, was bad. Yeah.
And then my second least favorite song on Stillmatic is Smoking, but I would take Smoking over Hola Jovito.
I love Smoking. Yeah, I love Smoking.
I can't front like I was a big fan of that. I wasn't a big fan, but I'm taking it over Hola Jovito all day, every day.
I was listening to that a lot. CJ the Kid wanted to know, AG, do you think Murder Music is better than Hell on Earth?
Hell no. No. Hell on Earth is their best album to me.
I think Hell on Earth, rapping wise, I think it's their best album, rapping wise.
I think Havoc's production is better on there. For me, The Infamous has higher highs. Shook Ones Part 2, Eye for an Eye, Survival of the Fittest. Like, the highs are crazy high, right? But it's just something about Hell on Earth, man. Like, I've been playing that a lot this winter. I've been playing a lot of War Report and Hell on Earth because it fits the fits the winter.
I still go with Murder Music. I think Murder Music, to me.
You think Murder Music is better than both Hell on Earth and Infamous?
Barely.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that.
Barely. I think because Murder Music, they brought it full circle. I think it's successful. It's the most successful album they ever had for a reason. I think because they brought it full circle. But you're pulling hairs. I mean, you're pulling hairs. We're talking about Infamous, Hell on Earth, and Murder Music. You're literally pulling hairs.
You mean splitting hairs?
I said pulling hairs. That's what I'm calling pulling hairs.
But that sounds kind of weird, though, don't you think? Like
in West Virginia, it may sound weird, but I say pulling hairs. Yeah, in West Virginia, y'all might say splitting hairs or pulling popsicles. I don't know. But I'm from, I say pulling hairs because you're pulling your hair, you don't know which one you want to pick, so you just pulling your hair.
You quit trying to flip it, you know. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that about murder music, because I think, but not discrediting it, but I say they have 3 classics. But people that usually say, okay, 2 and a possible, murder music was always the possible. You know what I'm saying?
I'm at to listen to them all together, but I still think that murder music was the completion. I think murder music is the full circle piece to all of it.
That it is.
And I think because it has that variety and it has that full circle, I think from front to end, to me, it comes off better. I think the highs on Hell on Earth is really P's rhyming. P, like he's in such a pocket that everything he was blazing everything.
Yeah.
The highs on Infamous is you got an anthem. Right? Murder music, you got all of that, but it's not as loud as you would get with, you know, the Infamous and, you know, Shook Ones and all of that.
It's the most versatility they've shown.
It's more, it has more range.
Yeah.
It has more range. Because Quiet Storm might be better than anything off of Hell on Earth and off of Infamous. Would you agree or you disagree with that?
Hell on Earth, yes. It's not better than Shook One's Part 2.
Shook One's Part 2 just it's a pivotal part of hip hop.
No, Sean, I think that's where it stops. Like in Mobb Deep's catalog, if I'm saying if I'm ranking the greatest Mobb Deep songs of all time, Shook One's Part 2 might be the only one ahead of Quiet Storm, bro. You might be right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I had this point I wanted to make. I want to ask you. We talked to you. You brought it up. You brought up singles, and Coop earlier brought up singles as well. So between those 3 artists, I want to ask you on their debuts, who had the best run of singles? We talked about Kiss. Kiss had Put Your Hands Up, which sounded, you know, like a B-side, but he's working it as a main single. He had Knock Yourself Out and We Gonna Make It. Around that era, you worked about, 2 to 3 singles for your album. You know what I'm saying? We Gonna Make It. Oh, real quick point. We Gonna Make It is one of the greatest songs of all time. I think it's Alchemist's best beat. You know, for a lot of people that don't know, another fun fact, he had agreed to give the song to Nas, and then Nas left town and then came back and said that he changed his mind because he was working on his album. I'm assuming it's Stillmatic. And he changed his mind and said he wanted to give the beat to Nation, and then Alchemist said, nah, I'm gonna take that back, not giving it to Millennium Thug. And then he ended up playing it for Jay. Jay turned it down in person in real time, and then it landed in Jada Kiss's hands. You know, as great as Jay-Z and Nas are, I don't think they could have did that track any more service than what Jada Kiss and Styles did on there. It landed where it was supposed to be, in the right hands, and stuff like that always fascinates me. Like, a track that was supposed to be somebody else's. So I think that's pretty crazy. For Prodigy, you mentioned this. The single lineup is kind of shaky. You got Keep It Thorough, which was already bastardized by the time the album comes out. You got the Genesis, you know what I'm saying, which is not really single worthy. It's a dope album cut, but I don't know if it's a single. You know what I mean? But it was a single. And then you got YBE with BG, which is trying to get that South reach. I wasn't a fan of YBE. Did you like that one?
Didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't want to hear Prodigy on that with BG. And BG was on fire at that time. No pun intended.
He was.
Going crazy. Yeah.
He was. Now for Meth, you got Bring the Pain, which is an all-time classic record.
Yes. You
got Release Your Delf, which...
Oh my goodness.
Release Your Delf, when the album was out, as big as Bring the Pain was, Release Your Delf was my favorite song.
Oh my goodness. Release Your Delf was crazy.
It made me want to box. like for real. Which I did used to box a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So for those of y'all out there, I got hands, just so you know. So, you know what I mean? But I don't know. But anyway, and then they had All I Need remix, which is like
Out of Here. I'm out of here.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When, like you said, the original was what it was.
Yeah.
The remix came out, glossed it up, and it was out of here. And it's one of the greatest collaboration songs, hip hop R&B collab, and remixes of all time. It's just one of the greatest of all time, period. So out of those three, I think, even though it's not on the album, remixes, you know what I'm saying, that was on maxi singles or whatever, still pushed your album sales back then. But I think based on the single list, I think Meth was set up for the most success with his single run. What do you say, Sean?
I think Meth had the most impact off of his single run. I think that Kiss impact was, I think it pales in comparison to Meth's impact. Because like you just mentioned, you're talking about a song with Mary on it, when Mary is one of the hottest things out there, right? This is a song that's played in weddings.
Big facts.
I did it. You know what I mean? It's played in weddings, right? That's the first one you dance off of, right? So when you got that going on for yourself, come on, you transcend it. And didn't he win a Grammy?
Yes, that won a Grammy. Yep, sure did. We Gonna Make It, though, they worked that late. That was like the last single release. If they would have worked that single earlier, we might be having a different conversation about the success of that album, because they worked it late and it caught so much fire. They ended up doubling back with the remix and throwing Eve on that. You know, you remember? So
yeah, I think they messed it up when they did that.
Okay, so, but anyway, We Gonna Make It. If they would have worked that earlier on, I think that would have been more successful for Jada's singles. But I just thought that was interesting. But Meth is the right answer. Is the right answer for sure.
I'm sure guys in the chat, tell us what y'all think. Who had the best setup with their singles?
And speaking of Mary, I talked about how it looked kind of funny that DMX wasn't on We Are the Streets.
Yeah.
Mary kind of discovered a lot. She's Yonkers. You don't have Mary on We Are the Streets or Kiss the Game Goodbye.
No.
Does a Mary feature change either one of those albums?
I think it does, because I think, again, it goes right back to the publication, what they were saying about We Are the Streets. They said the focus was too much on getting back at Puff. So if you're distracted by that, and you got DNY, you got Swizz in that room telling you, yeah, there's stuff all over you. Let's get it. Let's be aggressive. You're taking away the elements that can probably give you more range on a Lox album, on a second album, because you could have had a Mary join on there. You could have had an X join on there, right? I like the fact that they did separate and everyone had their solo joint on that album. I thought that was dope. Everyone had their own chamber to go to. But the focus, now we're talking about it in real time. If we're talking about it now in hindsight, I think it's the focus that threw it off.
Yeah, man, this was dope, man. This is probably the longest we've ever spent on a Discord dialogue segment, and that was a dope convo for real.
Yeah, shout out to the Discord, man. Shout out to the HipHopTalks Discord. If you're now part of the HipHopTalks Discord, you gotta tap in. These guys, hip hop heads, women, the hip hop heads, talk about hip hop, life, everything, all day, every day. We got people from other countries that's in the Discord, so it's like it's continuous, and we be politicking. We politic on hip hop and life all the time. Good stuff. Like that. We even share some backstories on things that we may not share here on YouTube. But yeah, shout out to the Discord.
Sure.
What you want to do, man? You want to go into our press play and we just table the
let's do it. Let's do it real quick, because we got it on the thumbnail. Then we'll do that and then do the press play. We can go through it fast. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to, pump fake the listeners. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's go into it. We can address that real quick. Get our main topic on. Yeah. With the resurgence of some of the elder statesmen MCs in rap, we started having a conversation about who were some of the top current MCs over 40. You know what I mean? And shout out to J. Cole. I mentioned it earlier. J. Cole just turned 40 on January 28th, and he shares a birthday with Rakim. Rakim is one of the OGs that's still putting out music to this day. And we started, me, Sean, and Coop, and shout out to Andrew, just talking about the scene behind the scenes about some of the best rappers who are over 40. And I don't know about you, Sean. I think we all had like a different rubric as far as coming up with our personal top 10s. I'm gonna just run through mine real quick. What I said, my rubric was like, if I'm considering you current, above 40 rapper, you had to release an album in the 2020s within the last 4 to 5 years. So that's a prerequisite to be considered on my list. You know what I mean? So have to have a full project in the 2020s. Another thing I had as a requirement, if you just turned 40, right? If you just turned 40 recently, what is your resume since turning 40? Okay. So like, say for instance, somebody on my list, if they're 42, you know what I mean? What have they done over the last couple years? You know what I mean? Because they might have been cooking when they was 38 or 39, but what have they done, you know what I'm saying, in the last 2 years? And the guys that's in their 50s or whatnot, that's too much catalog to consider what they've done in their 40s. But I'm more so reserved that for the guys that just turned 40. What have they done since crossing that threshold? And then I also had degree of difficulty. We just had a dope LL album last year, while he was 56, 57 years old. You know what I mean? So at that, putting out a dope album at that clip, it made you rank high on my list because the degree of difficulty to still being able to put out something that sounds good, sounds fresh at that age is harder to do than somebody who's maybe in their, lower 40s. You know what I mean? So degree of difficulty is something I considered. And then whatever you did since you're 40 plus, if it garnered any major notoriety, critical acclaim, major sales, or if it just moved the hip hop needle in any way in your 40s, if it wasn't like, just a tree fell in the forest and nobody heard it kind of thing, then, I based it on all those factors. So that's my rubric. And did you have anything specific for yours?
Not really. I was just going off a feel.
Okay, that's fair.
I was going off a feel.
Okay. So you want me to go with mine first, or you want to do yours first?
No, go with yours. Because
Okay.
I want to submit this a part 2 if we can, because we want to challenge Coop on some of his, because I know he had like an interesting list.
Okay.
Now I don't want to disregard that if we don't have to.
Okay, for sure. So for my number 10, I went back and forth because I didn't know, who to put in this 10th spot, but I ended up landing on Lupe. And granted, he didn't put out anything that had any major notoriety, you know what I'm saying? Or it maybe didn't move the needle so much. And Lupe's 42, by the way. But I feel like Drill Music and Zion back in 2022 and Samurai in 2024 are really dope albums that not a whole lot of people talk about. They get looked over a lot. But his resume since turning 40 with those 2 albums, I think is something, not to overlook. I think he's still putting out high quality music. He's a spitter. So, and he won a battle in his 40s against Royce the 5'9", sent him to the Shadow Realm. So I had Lupe as my 10th spot. At the number 9 spot, I had Jada Kiss, who we talked about earlier in the show. Jada Kiss is 49 years old. As far as the last 5 years, the only albums he on his resume is Ignatius in 2020, which I think is his most personal album, and it's a solid effort. But the reason why he's here is because of his performance on the verses. You know what I mean? To be able to move the crowd like that, to capture everyone, to have a major hip hop moment of that magnitude at that age, it's kind of impressive. It's nothing short of amazing. You know what I mean? That's like, you in the Garden, that's like being in the twilight of your basketball career. That's like LeBron going in the Garden and dropping 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really impressive that he did that. And it might arguably be the greatest moment of his career. And he can say that came like in his later years, in the twilight of his career. So I got him at number 9. Number 8, I got Killer Mike with who was 49 years old. Listen, Michael is a great album. It got a lot of notoriety, won a Grammy. I don't hold it as high as many people did, but the notoriety and the critical acclaim he got off that album this late in his career, I couldn't deny that. You know, Michael, really moved the needle. Number 7, we talked about him earlier. I got Method Man, who's 53 years old. He dropped Meth Lab Season 3 in 2022, which was an okay album, but he's here more so based off his features. You know, his feature run over the past handful of years has been crazy. Like, Method Man has been blazing everything he's been on. Mm-hmm. My number 6 is here for similar reasons. I got Lil Wayne, who's 42. He released Sorry for the Wait in 2022, Fix Before the 6 in 2023, but he's on my number six on my list, more so predicated on his features. He's still rapping at a high level, blazing every feature that he's on. Number 5, I got Conway. I'm not even gonna list all the projects that Conway done came out with. Conway stay dropping music, but he's 42, and I think he's, even though he's a little bit older, he's still one of the best MCs we got in this game currently. Number 4 spot, I got Common, who is 52 years old, who just put out an album with a lot of critical acclaim and notoriety, which is the Auditorium Volume 1 with Pete Rock. And my number 3 spot goes to LL for The Degree of Difficulty. 57 years old. He put out The Force last year with Q-Tip. Dope album, super dope album. And for LL to be able to do that, not only at his age, but for somebody who's been in the game since 1985, The Degree of Difficulty is crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2 on my spot, on my list is Freddie Gibbs, who is 42 years old. Gibbs' catalog is super dope. Since turning 40, Gibbs put out Soul separately, and You Only Die Once, which I consider both to be very, very great albums. Wouldn't call them classics, but they're up there. And number 1 on my list, for obvious reasons, is Nas Escobar, 51 years old. The Hit Boy run in the 2020s. He released 6 albums in a span of 3 years. I mean, I've already done waxed poetic about that so many times. If you know, you already know. So I don't got to say much about that. That's my list.
Yeah. Mine is similar to yours, and I'll just keep it real brief. Number 1, you know what it is. Nas. Number 2, I got Common. For him to still be rhyming at a high level, again, Common never disappoints with the rhyme, so you can't go wrong with Common regardless. I got LL number 3 for obvious reasons. Being able to come back with a phenomenal album in 2024 is very impressive for him to be that long in the game, that far in the game, and just still putting out good albums. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. I got Kiss on there, of course. Number 4. Got Push, number 5. I put Future in there, man. I got Future in there at number 6. Okay. Future, and again, I'm growing up because a few years ago, I like laughed at myself if I put Future on any kind of hip hop list. But I'm growing. Pause. And Future had 3 albums last year.
He's still working. He's about to drop another mixtape.
Another one. You got to give Future respect. I got M on here. You got to give M credit. You know what I mean? He's still one of those. That album wasn't a bad album at all. It's not. I don't go back to it much, but it's not a bad album. But M is still M. I got Meth, and I got Red, and I got Wayne to round it out. So
that's a valid list.
That's mine.
Shout out to Red for putting out a dope project, man.
Indeed. We definitely got to do a part 2 so we can get it on the socials and get it on on everything with Coop on it. I have his list. I have his list right here, but I'm not going to speak on his behalf because I know he's probably going to want to get into more details on his. But yeah, we definitely need to get Coop to talk about his portion of it as well.
No doubt. Yeah. We can go rock the press play, bro, and get up out of here.
LP, I got Push on mine. I got Push at number 5 on mine, LP. So we ain't forgot about him.
Push was an honorable mention for me. Like, the only thing he's dropped in the 2020s is It's Almost Dry. And I think that was a very good album. I mean, it wasn't Daytona, but it was a very good album. But outside of, releasing that, he's been relatively quiet. I know we got the Cliffs album upcoming, but he's been relatively quiet the last few years. It's Almost Dry came out And what was it, 21 or 22? I want to say it was 22.
Cool.
Yeah, but he's been quiet for the last couple of years, so that's the only reason why he didn't make my list. But I had him written down as an honorable mention. Another honorable mention I had real quick, I had, Game. He had
definitely
the joint with Big Hit, the Paisley Dreams, and had Drillmatic. I had Deck as an honorable mention. That's one of that tree falls in the forest, nobody hears it. But if you're not tapped into Czarface, you know what I mean? Deck is working. They put out projects all the time, and Deck is still spitting at a high level. Black Thought, Black Thought is Black Thought with cheat codes, joints like that. Had Eminem. I'm still always going to be an Eminem fan. The Coup de Grace, Death of Slim Shady I think it was a solid release. Then I had AZ. AZ Do or Die 2 was a solid project. So those are just my honorable mentions that just didn't quite make my list.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's get into our press play. For those of you who's new, we do a press playlist every week. Myself, AG, and Coop, we would share the songs that we were playing in our tape deck, if you will, this past week. We try to come with a theme every now and then, depending on what the vibrations or the soundscape look like for us. I'm gonna name off what Coop did for his press play to kick it off, AG. And then I go into you and I's. Coop press play this week, like he was on some wild stuff, because he started out with I don't know what Coop be thinking about half of the time. But anybody who know Coop be in a whole different mindset half of the time. But Coop started his press playlist with 3 6 Mafia, Who Run It. He also had Nipsey Hussle, Double Up, Snoop, Pimp Slap. He had Diddy and the Family, Victory. And he also finished it off with C Murder, Down for Mine. So that's Coop's press play for the week. And we're also going to put this on Twitter and in the Discord. And we always encourage you all to tag onto that Twitter handle and put your press playlist as well out there. Okay. So AG, let's start with you, man.
Yeah, me and Sean kind of collaborated on our press play because we wanted to paint the picture of like what was going on around that time. And we talked about this early in the show, leading up to, we talked about the anniversary of We Are the Streets and what that meant leading up to the solo debut of Jadakiss and the buzz that was surrounding Jadakiss at that time in 2000 and 2001. So for my list kind of starts off where the Lox first come to Rough Riders, and we're leading up to We Are the Streets. The anticipation is building. They had the Let the Lox Go campaign, and now we know it's official. They're on Rough Riders. So the first thing that they really put out to give that official stamp and plant that flag in the ground is on the Rough Riders Volume 1 compilation album, which is Ride or Die, the opening track to set it off, which is a banging posse cut. You know what I'm saying? What a way to kick it off. You got the whole camp on there. You got DMX, you got the Lox, you got Drag On, you got Eve. Everybody, you know what I'm saying, spitting, going for broke on there. So what a way to kick that compilation off, which is a crazy dope that never gets talked about. But this compilation album is fire. Okay. Another song off the compilation. Still to this day, my favorite song where Kiss and Styles do the in and out flow on is Dope Money. I think as good as We Gonna Make It is, and other records where they do the in and out flow, Dope Money is my personal favorite. They just spitting venom on there. Love this record. And this record right here, as far as like at that time, it really got the anticipation up for the Lox album. Mm-hmm. Next after that, also on the compilation, Rough Riders Ride or Die Volume 1, Kiss of Death. This is the first joint since coming over to Rough Riders where we hear Kiss solo, So he had a solo record, you know what I mean, on the We Are the Streets, sorry, not the We Are the Streets, but on the Money, Power, Respect album. But this is his first one coming over to Rough Riders where we say, okay, we finally got a Kiss solo record. And Jay to the Hustle Cloak, Ride or Die, Kiss Hand Wash Money, Let It Drip Dry. Like
Yeah.
The anticipation around Kiss's solo album, like if you wasn't there for it, I'm trying to tell you, he was the most anticipated artist in the game at this time. 1000%. Don't let nobody tell you any different. Like he really was. And then after that, I got Scenario 2000 off of Eve's record. Okay. As posse cuts go, this is one of my favorite posse cuts of all time. Like they all spaz and go crazy. And what's even more satisfying about this record, in those times, you know, RZA used to do this a lot with Wu-Tang records. He'd play like a snippet of something, and then the beat would change, and he'd be like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? And then you'd hear that song, like, you know what I'm saying, 2 albums later or whatever on different, like Guillotines. You know what I'm saying? Guillotines on Cuban Link, you know what I mean? You heard on Tical, you know, snippet on it. So when Jigga My Nigga come out on the Rough Riders compilation soundtrack, the beat that Swizz does at the beginning is hard. Then it switches to what we know the song to be. But then Swizz doubled back, and this is the, you know, the first beat that plays on Jigga My Nigga, the whole, you know what I'm saying, the whole song plays out that beat. And I just love this as a posse cut, and this lets you know that the locks are home. This is where they're supposed to be. And then the last track I got on my press play is Jada's solo joint from the album We Are the Streets, Blood Pressure. I mean, what can I say? Kiss is just spitting at an all-time high level. Classic record, one of the best joints on that album, top 5 easily. And that's setting the stage for Jada's solo album. We're, you know, leading up, we're warming up. So Sean, you got it from here.
No doubt. So my press play was more around the anticipation of Kiss. We talked about it tonight. We talked about the lead up to Kiss the Game Goodbye. And if you can remember, even around the time of We Are the Streets and right after We Are the Streets, Jada had about a year to ramp up for Kiss the Game Goodbye. So my press play represents that. And the first song that I had off of mine was the Maya featuring Kiss, Best of Me. Of course, we know the story behind that. Kiss killed this record. Jay came behind and did the remix and changed everything forever. I ain't gonna lie, I like the remix a bit better. I'm not gonna lie. Jay did come through on that.
Jay stunned it. Jay stunned it
on that, right?
The regular joint is a 10 out of 10. Like you thinking, like it's no way nothing can outdo that. But
yeah, but that was one of one. And then Kiss also being able to be on the joint World War III, and I've always felt like this was Kiss letting people know that he was about to get ramped up a little bit more for his album off the Rough Rider 2 compilation. And World War III, to me, I was overseas when World War III was really going crazy. And I remember every time the Kiss verse came on, my whole crew would get around me and have me spit that verse because we overseas. So these songs are representing your regions. And every time Kiss verse would come on, my whole crew would get around me and I would just do that verse. And to me, I thought that was Kiss. He killed that verse. I mean, he actually stole the show to me.
He did.
The show in World War III.
He did. State your name, gangster.
Yeah.
Where you representing? Like it would sound crazy. It was like West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia, dog. Like something would be crazy.
But real talk, this is a top 5 Swizz beat as well, I think.
It is. Yeah. Tugboats.
Yeah.
My other one, Go Ahead. This was another one. Jada Kiss went crazy on Go Ahead. To me, I think Go Ahead is probably like right behind FU coming out the gate. Go Ahead is like to me the second best song on that album, right after FU. But I love that joint. Love that.
He gives a little preview. He said they're looking for my solo album like Kennedy Jr. Like that bar right there. Crazy.
Right. Yeah, crazy, man. Then he came back and he did a freestyle. He did a freestyle, and that freestyle was on the DJ Clue joint. If you guys can remember, it was the Professional 2, him and Mary, and they flipped that whole joint. And I think this was the song AG that led up to Kiss. Actually, this was the song we heard before we heard the lead single. It's the Game Goodbye.
Yep.
And I think I'm missing one. I think I am missing one, but
which one did you miss?
I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I am missing one. I don't know what y'all missing though. It's all good.
You said the Maya joint.
Yep.
Then you had World War III.
Go ahead. And
My Name is Kiss. My Name is Kiss.
My Name is Kiss. That's the one I was missing.
That's on volume 2 as well.
Yep, absolutely.
He was spitting crazy on there too.
Crazy on that. But that's the playlist. Again, we post the playlist on all of our social. We put it on the YouTube community. We also put it on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, follow us in the Discord. Come into the Discord and chat it up with us. It's continuous. The crew is in there. We got LB, we got Evans, we got Tri Boogie, we got Jack, we got Double. We got some thorough ones out there in that whole in that Discord, and all day we talk hip hop. All day we're dropping jewels and everything, and debating each other and sharing war stories around hip hop. If you're new to the show tonight, thank you for pulling up. But we would ask that you subscribe. We ask that you like and you share. If you like the content tonight, we've been doing this. This is our 54th episode. On Thursday nights, it's myself, Sean, AG, and Coop on Thursday nights. We got some other joints that we are lining up right now as well. Watch out for Coop's show coming out real soon on rap. That's going to be coming out really, really soon. AG and myself are working on a project as well. Shout out to Elf and shout out to LB on that project. Shout out to Mirror Music as well. Shout out to our man Andrew from Mirror Music. Shout out to the engineer Tribe Diesel out there. Shout out to CJ the Kid. All of those who rock with us, our day ones, from Station Head all the way over to here. We appreciate you all. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe. Plug into us. We plug into you, pause. And we got some great, I got to say that. And we got some other good stuff lined up for y'all. AG, what you got for the people as we get out of here?
You said it all, man. This is the road to 2K, man. Make it happen, y'all. Like, subscribe, share. That's it.
Like, subscribe, share.
And keep the homie Coop in your prayers, please. So.
Definitely keep Coop in your prayers. He got some personal things going on right now, but keep him in your prayers. And we'll see y'all real soon.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.